Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to our very special pre-recorded part 3 of Seasons of Death Winter Out of the House of Ashes. Right now, I cannot see you in chat, but future me is actually in chat as we speak and will be reading chat and responding to you all. So one part of my Gestalt image will be here with you live while we are here not live, although it is the same day. Welcome to the Academic Foxhole, where we're going to be playing part 3 of our Seasons of Death Winter Out of the House of Ashes, our Gumshoe one-to-one adventure with the amazing, I'm not going to introduce this person yet. That's not the order. The first order is, if you would like to support us, thank you. The best way you can do that is by being here and engaging in chat and hanging out with us. That is the best you can do. Thank you so much for all of that. You can give us tips and bits, and if you do, I will read out those tips and bits messages probably by jumping in right after this recording is done to pop up or do like a cool voiceover or something like that. There'll be a way in which it'll happen if we get those. So thank you. They go and help pay for the cast and any art commissions. And we're going to have new art commissions, by the way. So thank you. And you can also re-skeet our going live skeet, which will be out. It's probably already out. It's not out right now, but it will be by the time this happens. And you can join our Discord and hang out with us in chat. You can become a member of our Patreon. That's another way to support us. And we have a very special sponsorship tier, which is $200, which will pay for 4 cast members for 1 week for one show, and that is limited to only 4 slots. And if you are one of our sponsors, you'll get a special radio ad that will play once a month, and a special spot in the credits, and a special shout out. And we have one sponsor, and that is Will and TW, who has been such a wonderful long-term sponsor and just a great person, and also one of our note takers. So thank you. And I think we also have a merch store. You can get really cool merch like our Gambler's special travel planner, which I made myself with way too much math and ridiculousness, but that does have like character art, and it's very cool. Check it out. But we'll talk more about that later. So I think that's all the pre-stuff. There is other stuff that I will talk about, like what we're doing next week, but I'll do that in the outros. So, and also other things I will tell you about, but that's not for now. For now, I would like to introduce my player. This player, who you have no idea who it is yet, it's a surprise, although you do see them and their name, so maybe it's not that much of a surprise, and it is part 3, but you know what I'm saying. So this player is somebody who is very good at what they do, very thoughtful, is the kind of player you really want to have at your table because they actually commit and care. You know, they match your energy, and such a lovely person who gives me an excuse to research more things and open more tabs on my windows, and just makes me happy to play with. Without further ado, could I please introduce WerewolfFeels? Can you tell us who you are and who you are playing?
Yeah, well, hi, my name is Northern Leak there. You can call me Werewolf. Most people do. You can find me online at WerewolfFeels. I stream once in a while, but I'm also a tabletop writer, consultant, podcaster. I won an award
winner
or 2. Yeah, unfortunately, and definitely
Oh,
award nominated several times over. It's unfortunate because I wasn't able to go to New Jersey and actually collect it.
oh.
So it's sitting. I think a friend of mine actually has it in a cardboard box, just waiting for me one day. We'll see, right? When the world
Hmm.
is in a better place and we can cross borders safely, I'll pick it up.
Oh.
Anyway, regardless, it's fine. It's fine. I get the title for now. And I'm also a person that you might have seen dabble in some game design and gameplay as well. On that note, I really do enjoy the Gumshoe system because like, I've been I frequent the Reddits. I know I shouldn't,
Mhm.
but what?
Oh, well, I do. Look,
Yeah,
look. It's okay to frequent the Reddits. You just can't become emotionally invested in it. You know what I mean? Like you've got to just recognize that these are not your best friends, and
you
sometimes people say
also
ridiculous things.
absolutely, and you gotta like understand sometimes where someone's frustration is coming from because it's usually not what they're actually saying because it's the
Yes,
internet and
yes,
people are
yeah.
they type out immediately when the moment they have a thought rather than sit with their
Hmm.
feelings for a second. And I do
Yeah,
notice that a lot of people get frustrated with Gumshoe specifically because they're like, well, where's the tension, where's the drama? And here's the
yeah,
reason why I love Gumshoe:
yeah,
you will
yeah,
always have more information that you could ever need, and it can
yeah.
easily lead you to the wrong spot if you're not careful,
Yes,
which
yeah.
is if you're like GMing Gumshoe, this is my
Hmm.
advice to you. As someone who's played a
Hmm.
lot of Gumshoe, as someone who's known for a Gumshoe podcast way back in the day, and someone who loves it, front load so much information that you make your players' eyes bleed. Because
Hmm.
that's the
Hmm.
fun of it. Sifting through all of
Yeah,
that, connecting
yeah,
the pieces together, that's what solving a
yeah,
mystery is all about.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really endeared to this project, and I'm really happy to be here. On that note, let's talk about who I'm playing. Uh, not one, no one any important. That's true. I'm not an agent. I'm just an asset. I'm the kind
Hmm.
of guy that someone says, well, we need an expert in this.
Hmm.
Let's call him. And so the Saracen, that's the asset title. The Saracen is a professor, specifically of history and archaeology, and he focuses a lot upon the Ottoman Empire and
Hmm.
around the central, what we now
Hmm.
call the Middle East. And he's
Hmm.
done this for a very long time. And he's brought to London just to be in a conference, and
Hmm.
that's it. That's the entirety of it. See, nothing exciting,
Hmm.
nothing unusual,
Hmm.
nothing strange. But of course, he's a bit more skilled than he gives himself credit for, than I think
Hmm.
others would give him credit for. And that's exactly the
Hmm.
reason why he was picked up as an asset. It's exactly the reason
Hmm.
why he was brought to England by persons or person unknown. And it's
Hmm.
exactly the reason why he's gotten himself deep in to a
Hmm.
vampire conspiracy that he could have just set to the side and forgotten all
Could
about.
have. It's true. He could have.
That's a choice I could have made. I mean, I wouldn't make it. That would be a very boring episode, but it's a choice I
Oh,
could have made.
it's true. Uh, but there's so much more going on. Again, somebody invited you here. Somebody
I
went
take
through
the
quite a bit of
briefcase and
work.
I just toss it away and I never look at
Whoosh.
it. And
Mm, you
end of the
know,
season.
that's the thing about that, though. Um, it's the Call of Cthulhu situation, isn't it? People are like, "Oh, whatever you do, don't read the books. Don't get the secret knowledge because that's bad." And you're like, "Right, but not having the secret knowledge will not save you." Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it
I
just means
I'm
that
an
you don't know
archaeologist. I
things.
can't help it. I have
I know.
questions and there are answers. It's impossible to refuse my need for
Oh,
knowledge. And it's the reason why I'm here.
oh. Oh, speaking of Gumshoe, here's a little side thing that I was looking into. I thought was kind of interesting. They announced a brand new product over on Pelgrane Press, which I should remember what it is. That is really what I should do. That is what I should do. The actual product was not the point. The point was what it represented because you, I think, will actually find this really fascinating and interesting. So they are. Let me see if I can find it. It's so if those of you who do not know, Pelgrane Press's Gumshoe system is under an SRD now. They have an open license for it, or it might be under Creative Commons. Um, but they do have an open license, so you can do stuff with it. You can create things, which is cool. But they did announce a new product, and it is. Let me see if I can find it. Uh, it's not. It's not Paragon Blade. It is. So they have, okay, so this is what it is. Look, um, there's this new product that was announced, and it was just like I'm gonna find it because there's a point that like multiple people here will be find very exciting. So it is Wings, not Wings of Deceit, uh Marisher Detective Club? No. Basically they've got this new product that's coming out that is some kind of like interesting variant on Gumshoe. It's not exactly third party, but it's sort of like that, I guess. Anyway, but they were announcing a brand new program wherein it's like a smaller bits, like basically experimental versions of Gumshoe, right? So like people who want to sort of create sort of different and more experimental versions of the Gumshoe system, they are doing a thing for that. And I thought that was really, really cool. Um, I found it. Ballad Hunters. This is it. Okay. This is what it says. Introducing Ballad Hunters. This is from last month's page double X. Um, Britain, 1813, you are amateur folklorists. Of course, I'm going to be interested in this, right? You're amateur folklorists working as agents of the crown. Across the island, the folk ballads of the common people are coming to life. The dead walk, dragons rise, lovers betray one another, authorities condemn innocents to die. Whatever happens in the song happens in real life. It's up to you, armed with a little ballad magic, to decipher the clues in each song and keep people from getting hurt. Welcome to Ballad Hunters, which is a game that I'm going to have to get and run, or else I'll die, just so you know. But this is the part I thought you especially, Werewolf, you'll find this interesting. Ballad Hunters is the first in the new Gumshoe Labs line of games from Pelgrane Press. These games take what we all love about Gumshoe and remix it, to produce exciting experimental designs. Ballad Hunters rebuilds Gumshoe for brief but intense 2-hour adventures and adds mechanics from RPG story games. So they've got this new project called Gumshoe Labs where people are doing kind of cool and exciting things with Gumshoe, and that just opens up many, many possibilities, I think.
I love a remix. I do. I do. Whenever I've been asked to write something for a project, the first thing I think of is what is a fun rule here that I can try and break. Let me see if it still works
Mm-hmm.
once I've broken it. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm,
then I'll
mm-hmm,
bend it
mm-hmm.
just enough. Oh, that's tempting. That's tempting. And I think Gumshoe is
Right?
ripe for play because it's such a aggressively simple system when you break it down.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. And you
There's
know,
things you can do.
I've been working on how to make because look, I love the Gumshoe one-to-one system. I think it's super elegant, really cool. I especially like, and Gumshoe one-to-one for Cthulhu Confidential is different from Gumshoe one-to-one for Night's Black Agents, and I love what they do with Night's Black Agents, and I like how they've sort of shifted them a little bit each. And I'm thinking about, for no reason, um, how to make Gumshoe with multiple people feel more like one-to-one in terms of mechanics. And I know that their quick shock system, which they did for King in Yellow, incorporates like edges and problems and some of the things from Gumshoe one-to-one into a more group context. But I feel like there's more that can be done because there's some really cool things in here that are so cool that I think would work really interestingly in a group. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about that for no reason. And you know, these are all possibilities for remixes, and I would love to see what Werewolf does in a Gumshoe remix. Um, Before we start, I'll just say this one thing. He gave good advice. You front load all the information, and I think the thing is that um, there are always different challenges. I think you will not find Gumshoe satisfying if you're not looking for what this challenge is. The challenge is not can you get the clue, although that is still there, right? Sometimes you may not get them, but when you get them, what do you do with it, right? It's about there are many clues, but not all of like in a lot of other versions of mystery, you just never give people red herrings because you know what I mean? You just can't. But this one, you have all the red herrings, and then you also have all of the multiple threads. And the other thing is there's a time pressure, right? Like you have all the information, you can get all the information, but do you have the time? How much time are you willing to take? Because while you're taking time, bad things might be happening, you know?
You can also layer clues, which is fun. So if hold on, let me while we're trying to evade, if you, for example, someone says I want to use notice, which is an investigative ability, and they can notice that there is a strange handkerchief just sitting there, right? But that's it. That's all that the information that you need to technically give them until they walk in and say, well, I have bureaucracy. And
that's right.
So I know probably who this belongs to because I've engaged with these kinds of people before.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Or
that's
high
right.
society, especially. Like
that's right.
I can tell that this costs a lot of money, and it was not very standard. Like it's made out of a flimsy but pretty fabric. This probably belongs to someone extensively rich, right? You can add on stuff like that. There's options if you really want to limit information.
But also, I will say, for all the times I've run Gumshoe 1-to-1, there have been lots of clues the players have never gotten because they either did not go there, did not ask the right questions, did not use the right skills. So it's not like it is, it's not like there's no challenge, right? There's always a challenge there. And I think it's just that the challenge is, what do you do with the information and what are you willing to give up, right? Like there's like and so it's just like, it's the challenge of a really good Agatha Christie novel, right? In the sense that you're like, well, all those clues are there, but is that a clue? Like you told me that there's a bottle of suntan lotion, but what does that mean? And there's no role you can make to figure out what it means. You just have to figure out what it means.
The thing that really breaks your brains in other games, the clue is the reward, right? So people feel really bad about giving red herrings. I don't think you should in this game, but the clue is the reward. So why give you something that would fail? Don't think of it as a reward here. That's the basic mechanic. That's the skill.
Yeah.
Give a lot of even clues that don't go anywhere. Sometimes the number that they have scribbled down in their pocket is in fact their favorite Chinese restaurant.
Yep. And it
also allows you to live in, though.
But it also allows you to do a kind of a richness, right? So, for example, because you get all of the clues, not just the ones that are relevant to the mystery at hand, you can actually layer in these like little minor mysteries, like, oh, it turns out so-and-so's cheating on their spouse. Oh, right. Like that's not the mystery that we're paying attention to, but you get the little, like, there's like like everybody has their little mysteries, right? You know what I mean? And you get all that little texture of these other things about people's lives in a really cool way that I find makes the world feel very lived in. I think it's very cool.
Me too.
That said, let us recap and then pull back the curtain, shall we? As we are in part 3 of Out of the House of Ashes. Our protagonist, good old professor. Our good old Professor Illyaz. He was invited to speak at a very nice conference. It's a collaboration between the SOAS, which is the School of Oriental and Asiatic Studies in London, and the Iraqi National Museum in Baghdad, which they're in a partnership to make this conference about medieval the Middle East, right? The Ottoman Empire. And our professor, who does not have tenure and who does not have a steady job for no particular reason, I guess, he was invited to be a keynote speaker, which he gave a brilliant keynote speech about lapis lazuli, but also how it ties into culture and people and history on day 2. And this conference is at a very exclusive, very, very high security hotel that nobody can get into right now unless you have a reason to, like you're part of this conference, because a UN Global Trade Summit conference is happening right now at the exact same hotel where oligarchs and bankers and diplomats and spies and nobles, all sorts of really important people are all at this conference in London to talk about trade policy, global trade policy for the next decade or so. And this is one of these moments where everybody who's anybody is there. And it happens to be high security, same hotel. Our professor just so happens to be able to get in to this hotel because he's at this other conference that's at the same time. And just coincidentally, I guess, except for the weird thing where his farmer handler, who went off the grid because for no reason that we know about, looks like he was investigating some kind of weird conspiracy, slipped him a briefcase full of questionable things that point to some kind of terrible conspiracy that might have to do with vampires. As a, and then got shot, and then his body was taken away. I wouldn't worry about it. As they say in soap operas, no body, no death. I mean, definitely dead. And anyhow, yeah. And when he gets to this place, he finds out he's got this dossier stolen from a Canadian Air Force general who's working for NATO that seems to imply that there's some kind of splinter conspiracy inside NATO that's like stealing blood, arms, secret flights, all sorts of questionable things. But also they seem to, maybe this conspiracy seems to be related to one of the Bratva, the Russian criminal mobs, the Blusky Bratva, because they seem to be involved. And there was a lot of information about this one. There's some information about the Blusky Bratva, like money laundering, but also there was some information that an old Soviet spy, Arkady Shevlenko, seemed to have been leaking information, low level, sort of interesting information, clearly not everything he knows, to the CIA. And why, it is unclear. But it seemed as if our good Saracen's handler, who kind of left the service for some reason, not officially, in trouble, was investigating this Shevlenko and wanted to maybe get his hands on Shevlenko for some reason, because Shevlenko seems to know something about the conspiracy. And when our protagonist gets to this conference, this hotel, it turns out that Shevlenko is now no longer officially a spy. He's old, like he's an older fellow. He has had a long life. That he is now this. They give you a deal, right? When you've been around for a while, they give you a new job, right? You never go anywhere, and he is working basically for Russian, the Gokran, which is like the Russian Ministry of Finance, sort of a thing, being a gems, right? Gems and minerals sort of specialist. And he's at this conference to talk about that. That's what he's doing. But he's heavily guarded by the FSB, which is the former KGB. It turns out maybe not to keep him safe, but to keep him safe, to keep him under control, with a number of a retinue who are disguised, who are FSB, but they don't look like it, but who do not speak Arabic. And as it turns out, there was an operation underway. The CIA was going to extract him. He was going to defect now that he's so old. Also, he looks real bad, might be being poisoned, has got a heart problem. And it's going to this heart doctor who may be some kind of contact, right? Because that's one of the only places where he gets to leave being observed.
Most of the FSB agents, yeah.
Yeah, most of the FSB agents, they secure the building, but he gets to go and have his doctor's appointments privately. So that might be where the leak is coming from. Something's happening. But he was going to be extracted by the CIA. He was going to defect to the CIA now that he's so much older. And the CIA was going to go and pick him up. They had a whole big plan. Now, the Canadian intelligence liaison was given heads up about it, so it was probably the MI6 agent. And the Canadian's like, hey, let's just see how it goes down. We're gonna just check it out. You, my dear friend, why don't you come and hang out with me? And so you all were doing a little bit of surveillance, and it turns out someone did not want him to defect. Let's just say a vampire. Let's just call this a vampire for now. Went in and murdered all of the CIA agents who were there in a terrible bloodbath. And then took all their bodies, took the CIA van, drove it off. Our protagonist followed his Canadian intelligence contact, sort of checked out the scene of the crime, and then he drove the van towards the Thames. Before it hit the Thames, he jumped out of the van. The van hits the water, goes to sink. He climbs up the side of a wall of a building like he's a lizard and is gone. And our protagonist takes his van into the Thames and is able to gather some of the, like, this go bag that was from one of the mutilated CIA agents, which includes a key card for a hotel, and, like, change of clothes, that kind of thing. And so he's got this. He knows about this doctor's office. He knows the Lisky Bratva was surveilling Shevlenko also, and that they had a very special person, for an outside important special VIP coming in who needed a special delivery, and they had to, like, sort of pay attention to that. We don't know what that means. We know that they're watching Shevlenko. We know the FSB is watching Shevlenko. We know the CIA was trying to get Shevlenko. That didn't work out at all, unfortunately. And our protagonist, who got to meet a psychiatrist and was like, okay, that's weird, who may actually be in some way anchored into this book, this annotated book of Bram Stoker's Dracula, whose annotations he cannot remember. So his ex, Fling, who's a reporter, turns out actually to be one of the princes of Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabian prince, who's here for the conference, and they've got to meet up. That won't be awkward. Was invited to see an opera at the end of the days, on day 4, which is the Vampire, which is not at all thematic. But he did recognize 2 people, one who was, like, very obviously who would be the vampire, and one who would look like a modern young person, which, as it turns out, is probably not the case. The modern young person is probably the vampire, because our protagonist remembered seeing a painting where that person looked similar. There's also a couple of dead bodies that have shown up. That, I believe, is we're on day 2. Our protagonist has some time after the talk to go do whatever they want to do, but they do have a couple of leads. They know the Lisky Bratva is about. They know the FSB is. Well, they don't know what happened after. They do have a meeting at 5 with Arkady Shevlenko, who, by the way, was the final handler for Kim Philby, who was a notorious turncoat, a double agent for the Soviets in the 60s, and may have been around when he died mysteriously, and seems to have also known Kim Philby's father, St. John or St. John Philby, who was one of the architects of the revolution that overthrew the Ottoman Empire and set up the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and a number of other countries. It was like St. John Philby and Lawrence of Arabia, Gertrude Bell, just a whole crowd of a PC-sized group party of people who were running around doing stuff at the time, and seem to have known him as well. And this fellow, St. John Philby, was looking for a lost city. Who knows if he found it? Yes, that, I believe, would be a summary of, oh yes, your 5 o'clock meeting with Arkady. Then you have a dinner with the prince, and then you have a late tea with your agent friend Carpenter, who probably wants to debrief about what happened. Yes, that is where we are at when we pull back the curtains and light the stage. You have finished your talk. Now, as this everything, you had some good questions, right? You had some really good questions from the audience. There's some chatting here or there. But as we are done with your talk and people are milling about, where do you go and what do you do?
Right. First thing I'm going to look for while I'm here, is there anyone who represents either SOAS or the Iraqi National Museum here?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, sorry. There was one other thing I should make sure I didn't forget. When Shevlenko was giving his talk, he gave a talk about
Mineral rights, yeah.
Mineral rights. He had just dropped the name of, like, a couple of, like, sort of ancient names, and, like, pointing out that, like, ancient travel records might give you sort of spaces to find abandoned mines. You could find things that way. But one of the names he dropped was also a person who, besides doing travel, also had some things in his travel guides from, a couple centuries ago about how to kill the undead who get up from the grave after their
Mm-hmm.
death. And there were some people whose ears pricked up at the mention of this person's name. One of them was our dear protagonist, and the other were these two fellows, which one of which we think is definitely a vampire. So there was just and Arkady Shevlenko noted that those people noted what he said, but did not note that our dear protagonist noted, because our dear protagonist was subtle and smooth. But that is the sort of state of the moment. You were looking, I think, yes, for somebody. Who would you be interested in looking for first? And please note, this is like you've got a bunch of academics here. People, museum specialists, academics, right? But anthropologists, archaeologists, historians, classicists, linguists. It's a pretty good, diverse sort of interdisciplinary conference, and they're all looking. They all have alcohol. They're all a little bit tired looking. They're all a little bit hectic.
It's a little.
It's only day 2, I know, but it's still during the day. They haven't yet got to the parties yet, and so there's like a bunch of people milling about. And tell me, where do you go? There are, I mean, you can without a doubt find people who are connected to the organization committee, without a doubt.
Before I do that, actually, I want to take a quick scan.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone who shouldn't be here? In the same way that I shouldn't have been at the last conference.
What skill are you using?
It wouldn't be sense trouble because I don't necessarily think I'm being. What's surveillance work here? Or is that more mechanical surveillance?
That's a bit more mechanical. Notice would probably be good, but basically there's more than one skill you could use that will get you information on this. It just depends on what the flavor is, which, by the way, for those of you who are interested, one of the big advantages of the Gumshoe system, I think, is that it is made for investigation. So rather than having one investigation skill, search, right? They have like 20, so that you can investigate in these many different sorts of ways, which I think is really good.
Let's use a combination of noticed, tradecraft, and bullshit detector.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so each one of these things do different things for you, right? When you look at notice, first thing first is that you were put in the largest room that they have access to, which is not that large because all the really big rooms are taken up by the UN conference. But you have one of the biggest rooms they could get access to, and basically everybody is at your keynote because, well, okay, let me rephrase this. Everybody should be at your keynote. That doesn't mean they are. Some people probably
slept in.
Yeah, some people might have slept in. Might not be doing what they're supposed to be doing, but theoretically everybody is here. And you actually do have a really good wide variety of folks who are at this keynote. Like basically mostly everybody's there. And you were swarmed afterwards by a bunch of scholars who wanted to chat with you about it and have a couple of just like networking. And as it is.
I'm notoriously bad at it.
Yes, you are. You probably don't even remember most of them, but it's fine. But you might remember them. But it's just they're a bunch of people like scholars from here, from there. It was some of them you probably have known before, right? Some of them are like grad students who are wondering where you're teaching. Right? There's like a that people want things from you, as it happens. But you do get a good sense of most people who are there. There was a harried tech person who made sure that you had what you needed, right? So you had some organization folks. That was a grad student, right, who was there to make sure you had what you needed. So you have a good sense of everyone who's there. And when you're thinking about notice, what you would mostly say, first off, I would say you notice that most people were, when you were introduced, somebody from SOAS introduced you. There was a professor there who was the one who introduced you. not somebody from the museum, which doesn't strike you as odd in any particular way. But there was a Professor Fiona Williams, who was she's at SOAS, and she introduced you, and she gave like she did her very best to make your introduction very glowing. But again, the kind of people who tend to have keynotes are tend to be people who are much more established than you. So she did her best. I think what you would have noticed is that there were a lot of people who did not know who you were and were a little bit surprised in some ways, but everybody was very curious. There were some people who are young enough that it would not have stood out to them that you are not super famous, and she did a good enough job. Yeah, she did a good enough job to hype you and make you seem really interesting. You get a sense that there was a lot of people who were curious about you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like many people who there. You did not see many people there who expected you. I mean, everyone expected you because you're in the program book, of course, right? But there's a difference between somebody who's like, ah, yes, right, and somebody who's like, oh, yes, yes, right. If you see what I'm saying.
I share the confusion. Don't worry.
Just like, but like, not to be insulting, but they're just like, oh, okay. And, people, of course, are probably thinking like, I wonder why this person got chosen. Like, I wonder what that's about, like, and there's like a little bit of a curiosity about it. And most of the people that you saw seem to share that quizzical look, but not everybody. Professor Williams did not seem confused by your, well, not overly so, by your presence. People responded well. In terms of tradecraft, you don't notice anybody who seems to be in the trade who is part of this. People from the NATO conference, nobody even showed up from the NATO conference at all. You saw for like a brief moment, you did notice while you were talking, probably one of the Metropolitan Police showed up. Probably somebody from like the UN conference sort of wandered in and then wandered back out again. You would suspect from your using tradecraft that was probably somebody from looking, thinking about it, probably somebody from the FSB who was just double checking your credentials. Because you had mentioned, right, the talk. It was nobody who was part of that minder group. It looked like it was probably somebody who was who did not see you in your other guys, but also who was probably just sent as a double checker. They came in, they stood by the back, they like listened to your talk for like 5-10 minutes, did not seem to know what you were talking about, sort of found it boring, and then sort of left again, just as like a double, like, I'm just double checking to make sure you know that this thing was this interesting, and then kind of left again. But it does not seem to you as if the world of trade and statecraft finds is interested in this particular talk. It would not have the day before, you got the sense that maybe Shevlenko might have liked to have come to see the talk. Clearly, Shevlenko has not come to see the talk. Not surprising considering what happened last night. There was a big, massive murder situation that happened, so he's probably a bit busy. So that's from tradecraft. From tradecraft, you just kind of got a sense that somebody was like just checking out what the talk was from you dropping it beforehand. The police sort of coming in, just double checking in on you. You could see them coming in, sort of like just scanning the audience, make sure that thing was kind of sketchy going on. They're doing their due diligence. The police are out and about, looking out for you, and then sort of leaving again. That was tradecraft. And then your third one was
bullshit detector.
Bullshit detector, yes. So bullshit detector doesn't just check what you say, but also body language. Bullshit detector it's, it's not great to have that skill necessarily.
Hmm.
You don't necessarily want to know, you know what I mean? Some of the things that you might always pick
I'm
up
gonna
on.
get hurt. Yeah, got it.
I so there were a number of people who were there who were not paying attention so much. Um, I would not say most or even a majority or even like a large percentage, but there are people who are, again, there are people who are working on their own talks who were there because they should be there, but they had not finished their talks that they were giving the next day. And so there was people who were like taking notes who were not taking notes clearly. Um, when people came to, I mean, I'm just letting you know, there, when people came to go and network with you, of course you could see it, right? There were those people who were trying to figure out if you were going to be important or useful to them. And if they decided that you weren't, then they didn't. You saw the people who came up to you and they looked at your badge to see what institution you're affiliated with. And then they didn't find the institution interesting and then they walked away again. They made small talk. But there was clearly um, a bunch of academic maneuvering about. You did also
Bureaucracy.
get this.
Bunch of bureaucracy.
Yeah. Yeah. You also got the sense that there were some subtle, but not for you because you are trained in this, subtle sort of sense of people, um, not Professor Williams, but somebody also from SOAS. Um, Little like just chatting about how it is in, Nairobi. And you get the sense, right, that it's all very neutral, but wanting to get a sense of, mm, they're scoping you out to find out maybe why you don't have a position yet. They didn't ask. And would you be a person they might want to give a position to? Like you could see people were kind of scoping you out to see if maybe they wanted to offer you like maybe a visiting position, trying to figure out like, because there are people who were very much impressed with your work as well. And SOAS seems to be sort of interested in you, but not wanting to telegraph it. Right. Like,
Hmm.
uh, right. Like, oh, okay. You are interesting. Let's see. Why don't you have a job already since you are interesting? And that was a really good talk, but why are you still like a visiting professor? Right. And so these kinds
Yeah.
of like, want to get a sense of like, perhaps recruiting, maybe not for the CIA, but, uh, you know,
There's like a run down his jacket as he pulls out a few from the thousands of cards.
yeah,
I cannot
yeah,
stress this enough. I've been to enough
yeah,
conventions and conferences.
yeah,
You walk out with like 60 cards,
yeah, yeah.
and it is impossible to remember who was who. I'm sorry. I am.
It was, yeah, yeah. I'm also really
Yeah.
sorry to tell you that your cards were probably in your briefcase,
Yeah, I don't have
like
any
the bulk
cards.
of them. Yeah, so sad for you. So like like there's a lot of people asking for your cards. Right? Like it's like, and you're like, man, I don't have the things from my. You probably have like a small number of them, but like your bulk of them, you were stolen.
Yeah, he puts like the one he's noticed and just in a different pocket so he can send a
Yeah,
nice email later, because
yeah.
apparently that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm,
Uh
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and so far I haven't learned anything. I don't think I'm being observed, but I do have one question for you
No,
that is not important at all. This is not important. I cannot stress this enough. This
sure,
is
I
not an
believe you.
important question.
Mm-hmm,
But here's the question.
mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, someone's yelling.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, right, it's fine. The question is this: did anyone come out of there pleasantly surprised? Walked in. I don't know why this
Yeah,
person's here, and then walked out
yeah.
thinking,
Yes.
"There,
I
my
mean,
day."
I mean, I will tell you, there were a lot of people who were quite interested in the talk. Um, there were also some grad students who seemed to be like, oh, this person seems young and cool, and maybe I could kind of want to work with them, right? But like again, there's a lot of angling, like where are you located? So like, could I and you don't have a permanent position. So some of these people are potential grad students are like, oh, I can't work with you because you don't have a place I could apply to. Like, so there's like a lot of this
Hmm.
sort of going around where there are some young people who would really like to work with you, right? And you're getting the sense that some of the questions that are being asked by people who are not the young people are trying to figure out, like, we've got some grad students who might like to work with you. They don't say these things, but there's a lot of trying to figure out how to place you, you know? And you had this like one grad student who wanted to talk to you about their theory and about the Ottoman Empire, and they clearly need a lot more reading, right? Like they're very unbaked, right? Like they're like a master's student and they've got these ideas, and you're like, oh, but they're very enthusiastic, and they're like, but where do you teach? And so it's like there's a lot of people who want your time, and a lot of people were very excited and very interested. And somebody who's, you always got that question that was like, oh, your talk is very interesting, but I noticed that you didn't mention the work of me. How would you respond to my work? I think you should definitely quote my work. Yes, my work is actually not about the Ottoman Empire. It's actually about the Incan Empire, but I think that my work, and then they just talk about their work for a while. It's not really a question. You get some of those, of course. They're always there. Always. You're like, that's not what I was even talking about, but that's fine. But there's a lot of sort of you get the sense that there are people who are really interested in working with you, and
really
they're
nice.
trying to figure out how to do that. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's the reason why I do what I do. That made my day. Okay.
Unfortunately, some people really want to work with you, and you do not have a permanent job. But go on.
This is true. That can always change. The reason why I don't have a permanent job is honestly a bit due to choice so far.
Yeah. That's weird, the choice you make. But in terms of the most familiarity with you with the people who are there, it seems to you as if it is Professor Williams who's done the most research on you from the people that you have seen here.
Do I know if Professor Williams is a PhD? Do they have a title that I should be using? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. That's the first person I walk up to. Like, I do a quick scan of the room. I shuffle some cards in my pockets. I put some to the side of people who I actually care enough to really involve myself with later, and some that are just there. And then as I finish that up, I walk over to Professor Williams. Dr. Williams, I have to thank you so much for your organization inviting me. I find it strange, don't you? I mean, not to denigrate my own work, but I'm just a visiting professor. What prompted you?
Oh, well, first, I have to say that your talk was quite fascinating. I thought that the way in which you brought in the movement of lapis lazuli across spaces was fascinating. And I think quite a few people I know who my personal work is actually on the Silk Road, but I think that sort of work going outside of just one location and being a bit more cosmopolitan has a lot of possibilities to it. Very exciting. I was not certain what to expect when your name was given to me, but I'm so glad that I followed that suggestion. It was such a pleasure to have you here. I do trust, you up in Edinburgh, were you not?
Yeah, it was for quite some time. That's where I did most of my. Well, you know how it works in Edinburgh. It's a sort of master's, sort of bachelor sort of thing. I did that, and then I switched over to across the pond, back home, and focused a lot on a more historical side of things because Edinburgh is such a great archaeology program.
Oh, yes, it is. I spoke with your advisor back over there in Canada, who said only the most glowing things about your work as a PhD student. So I was looking forward to seeing what you're going to do. And you can tell that one sort of like she sort of mentioned that she was not the one who had the idea to invite you, but it was also clear that when the idea came that she did her research on who you were. She was like, she talked to her connections, like, who is this person? What were they like? Right. And so she clearly has a deeper knowledge of your academic work, let's say, which she had to do when she was going to introduce you anyway. But she clearly has done work on you. And as she's talking, she just said this little thing. This is part of your bullshit detector, I guess. That other SOAS person who came to chat with you was probably told to do so by her. You think that she's probably the one who's most interested in scoping you out professionally at the moment, while still having plausible deniability just in case. She is the current department chair, right? So she's got a bit of a leadership position, and she's clearly just she's been scoping you out, let's say. Um, but you don't get the sense of your sense trouble's not kinging, right? But you get the sense this is really about uh, academic politics, let's say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
SOAS is a pretty prestigious place, and you do not have the kind of uh, name that could just get you a job there, just so. Um, and so she's clearly trying to figure things out about you, but you get the sense very much that she is excited by your work, right? That she finds your work quite interesting. But the question is, what can she do with that? Like, what can
I
she do with that?
see. I see. Uh, yeah, the PhD program back in McGill was. Oh, honestly, it was a really interesting time for me because I was going through some personal things, which led me down.
Oh,
Because you have to remember something, right? Well, obviously, you would know. When it
yes,
comes down to it, people back then were the same as people like us. They had the same needs, the same
yes,
desires, the
of
same what have
course,
you.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so I ended up looking into, how others dealt with grief historically throughout
Mm.
time,
Oh,
and
yes.
it led me down some strange pathways. There's during the Ottoman Empire, of course, they were dealing with
Mm,
two conflicting things, right? As they grew and their own beliefs
mm,
changed and
mm.
adapted, they were absorbing others, right? And during that time, the question became how to deal with like traditions that came from outside of the Ottoman Empire that were now
Yes,
part of the Ottoman Empire, which
yes.
would you believe that led me to vampires of all things?
Really? Um,
Bullshit detector.
um, mhm. Uh, she does not have any deep knowledge. You're not getting like a, ooh, but you're getting like a, like vampires. Like, where is this going? Right? Like, you framed it well enough that doesn't seem like you're like a kook, but she's not quite certain. She's trying to place you academically, right? Like, well, what is this about? Right? Like, where are we going here? Like, you can see that uh, she's curious as to where you're going, a little skeptical, but she's willing to hear you out, right? Like, oh, okay, well, and you can see that she's trying to see where this is going to go, like, and she's trying to figure out because she seems to be focused mostly on the Silk Road, and so this is not the thing that she's necessarily an expert on, but she's willing to hear you out to see. She's trying to make connections, right? She's trying to make connections, and she's trying to gather evidence, um, probably to make a case for you with other people, right? You know what I'm saying?
It was definitely a strange thing to find that crossing my desk. But there was a
Mm.
fatwa ages and ages and ages ago. I don't remember his name. It's written down. So my notes, believe it or not, got stolen on the
Oh,
way here. My whole briefcase did.
oh, oh! I'm so sorry. Wait, did you have to spend all night just reproducing your notes from scratch?
A good amount of it, yeah. Uh,
Oh,
but anyway, there was this fatwa placed back when he first started that adopted a tradition of how to
mm,
deal with vampires, right? And this time I
mm.
use the scare quotes to
Yeah,
insinuate
yeah,
that I do not believe
yeah,
in them.
yeah.
Uh, to deal with
Mm.
vampires, specifically the removal of a person's head and the nailing of it to the feet.
Oh,
Only a few decades later, he's still working, right? He's still in court, and he changes the fatwa. He denounces his old fatwa as
oh.
the world, as you know, the Ottoman Empire gets a bit more centric upon a certain set of beliefs, and that to me is a very interesting time because we go from a time in which I'm sorry I'm taking up so much of your time.
No, no, no. Please, please.
Oh,
Uh, I find rituals of grief quite interesting, especially how it deals with like the trade of ritual items. But please, please go on. He changed the
you
fatwa. Please.
yeah, yeah. So it has to deal with. My apologies, I almost lost my train of thought.
Oh, no.
An adaptation as the world kind of got smaller, this sort of metaphysical understanding of the world got smaller for the Ottoman Empire.
Mm,
And that set it up so that now people who are being brought in were considered other. And I think, I mean, a
mm,
lot of things led to the death of the Ottoman Empire. But I think if we look down
mm,
to what caused all the rebellion happening around that time, I
mm,
think the advent of sort of a centralization of beliefs from the Ottomans
mm,
helped it about, because now instead of we're all kind of part of the Ottoman Empire, they are part of the Ottoman Empire and they are on top of us. It was a strange thing to go from grief rituals to burial rituals to fatwas to
ah,
that, but it's the whole reason I
yes.
made that. You remember that paper, The Rise of Modern Sunni Islam Through the Eyes of the Ottoman Empire?
Yes, yes.
That's the whole
I read that. I quite liked that very much, actually.
that's the whole reason I got. I mean, obviously, I wasn't going to reference vampires in a book like in a paper like that,
Yes.
but it's a strange thing sometimes how um, dealing with your personal issues can lead you down a couple of different pathways. I mean, of course, it did
Mm.
mean that for a while I'd been not exactly nailed down, so to speak. But I don't know. Maybe I'm going to change that in the near future. Settle back down.
Having research funds to do your field work would clearly be quite helpful, I would imagine.
And also access to the large archives that are part of the British Museum would be pretty lovely, if I'm being honest.
Yes, well, but presumably you've had access to the Iraqi National Museum, I assume.
This is what I was hoping to get to. Uh, it's interesting you should say that. I've been meaning to ask you. I would like to use
Mm.
charm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I've not met a single person from the Iraqi National Museum before I was invited to this.
Really? Are you certain? That
I am
surprises me.
100% certain. I know, it surprises me too. I mean, I said yes to the opportunity because, of
Oh.
course, why not take the opportunity? But I find it so curious. So it was their insistence that I be added, eh?
Well, sort of, I guess. I thought that it was uh, well, I thought you had a friend there, actually. Huh.
Not that I know
Well,
of.
maybe
I
you're just a
I
fan,
know a few. Well, maybe.
perhaps. Yes. We were, of course, part of the whole situation. So this is, after all, a collaboration between the museum, especially considering how many things have been lost. We're trying to do a we're trying to recover things, and uh, well,
2013,
there's
wasn't
quite a yes, that's
it? Bunch
right.
of things. Yeah.
Yes, so we're trying to do quite a bit of outreach. I mean, we in SOAS are trying to be responsible, but wanting to do something innovative with having a nice sort of joint museum. This way, I mean, I'm certainly you'll be able to see we do have that a lovely exhibit of some items brought over, which some Ottoman art and jewelry, which I think is lovely, and we do have one of their curators here to give a talk that should be tomorrow. But we were looking for, well, it's a bit tricky, but not to be so. And she looks to you, Fiona Williams. She looks to you to be. She is white, quite British.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you do not have high society, if I remember correctly. Yes.
Nope, I do not.
Uh, but you do. You have spent quite a bit of time in the UK. Uh, so great detail you will not have, but I would say that she doesn't. There's something about her accent which says to you that she's probably not old money, upper class, right? She's studied. She probably went to Oxford or Cambridge or something like this. But you get a slight hint that in terms of her accent, she's not um, old connected, right? You kind of get the sense that she's probably not one of, and she's a little bit younger. She looks to you like she's probably mid 40s. So she seems to be, you would probably guess if she's a department chair that she's one of these kind of like go-getters, like has been like working really hard to get where she's going, ambitious type, you would say, academically. Um, right?
Yeah.
She's, well, um, Yes, no. It was important to me, I think, that after our history um, in the UK of plunder, that it's important, I think, to actually partner with people rather than just stomp all over them. And so we were hoping that we could get some recommendations. Uh, well, also, we just need more diversity in scholarship, don't we? So we were hoping to get recommendations of scholars from Africa and the Middle East, not just always the same scholars from. The United States and the UK. And so we did reach out as part of this partnership to bring in some scholars from the area uh, to come and speak as well. And we wanted to have a keynote from someone who is uh, from the area. And imagine my surprise when it turns out you were actually Canadian. But not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. It's just
My
that
father
when
was
I sent.
Syrian.
Ah, oh, well. And again, I hope I wasn't being insulting. It's just that when we reached out to
You
the
know,
museum, we'd hoped to get someone from there, and we had a
someone
couple of
homegrown, so to
names.
speak.
Yes, born in the tradition, as it were. So it's just not all, more voices was important to me at least. Um, Now, it just so happens that we had our main contact there is a researcher and translator over at the museum. I don't know if you know him. You probably don't. Mohammed Al Kirkuk is he's translator and a researcher there at the museum. He himself at the National Museum of Iraq. He well, how do you even? Uh, he's actually studied here in the UK, which was one of the reasons how we got to know him. Iraqi himself, but he studied here in Oxford, which is one of the reasons why I knew him. Um, yes, and so he was our main contact to get names and voices. He, however, didn't actually mention you at all. Your name came from someone else at the museum. Um, there's another researcher there. I didn't actually personally know her, but she contacted me personally and said that you are someone who definitely, without any sort of a doubt, uh, should be someone that I should be looking into as a good scholar. Yes. And so, well, I mean, I read some of your work, some of your papers, and um, I was found it quite intriguing, and so I definitely decided to invite you, and I'm glad that I did. Um,
I would love to hear her name. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to send a very good, nice thank you.
oh yes, her name is. She's not a professor. She's a researcher there. Fatima Khaled. Um, she I think she's somewhat new there, perhaps, or I don't know her personally. But she did contact me. I think that she was concerned that we wouldn't get a good range of voices, and she recommended you highly. She herself is not Iraqi; she's Palestinian, I believe, and she's working there at the National Museum. Uh, well, and I'm glad that she did um,
So am I.
recommend you.
Uh, I pull out her card from one pocket and switch it to another,
Mm,
and I make a note in my head about Silk Roads because there's a paper I'd like to read later.
yeah. Although I have to say, and she sort of notes, she's Palestinian, but I did catch a bit of something else in her accent. I would have sworn she was Egyptian, perhaps, um, but
Egyptian.
nonetheless, yes, I thought so. Just the dialect that she was speaking in Arabic, but well, perhaps she was educated there.
Maybe.
Hmm.
That does tend to happen around. Getting access to education can be difficult. Uh, I'll send a lovely. Maybe I'll send a fruit basket or something.
Yes, she's very kind. She knows a lot, quite a bit about um, ancient Egypt. I think that she specializes in Muhammad, the time of Muhammad, and oh, I think that she especially was interested in some of the courts of his daughters. Well. But she doesn't publish, so I was not able to read too much of her stuff. Just a few things here and there, and uh, museum catalogs, that sort of a thing. But yes.
I hate to say it, but a long night and a long talk.
Oh,
I could
oh,
use a
please,
nap.
please.
But in the meantime, it really was lovely to see. Wait, question: Is
Yes.
Fatima in town by any chance?
No, I have not ever seen her in
Unfortunate.
person. She neither her nor Mohammed. He said he had travel. Actually, he was going to Sarajevo. He unfortunately he was not able to make it to the uh, the conference himself. He said he had a business that had cropped up, which was quite disappointing. We do have a representative. I don't know where he is, but we do have a representative from the museum who's here. Uh, I will point him out. If will I be seeing you at the reception tonight?
Uh, Maybe I have a very old friend, a contact from Baghdad, who I owe a drink to.
Well, um, I I will note though that Fatima she did say that well, you don't have anything. You and Mr. Uh, Al Kirkuk, you don't have any professional rivalries, do you?
Not particularly.
Ah, all right. Um, hmm, interesting.
Yes, interesting. When was the last time you talked to Professor Kirkuk anyway?
Oh well, I spoke with him just a day before the conference started. Just getting we were on
Of
this
course.
call. Uh, yes, no, it's just that he. There was a funny thing. He had asked about you. Um, yes. He seemed surprised to see you on the program. Which said to me that Fatima hadn't actually told him that she recommended you, which I thought was odd. But nonetheless, he was a bit surprised because he had assumed that I would have picked one of his choices. Um, so I downplayed it and I said we got a number of suggestions and yours was the one that was voted on. He was a little bit, pissy. He had his own. So sorry. He had his own choices, but well, votes go the way they do.
They do. They do. I shall see you probably tomorrow or the day after, but if I don't,
Yes,
wonderful.
please, please. Um, by the way, are you going back to Nairobi? Is that will you be teaching next year?
Uh, it, Technically speaking, I have an open invitation, but it's recent events have made me reconsider. I
Oh,
might be looking for a new position
interesting.
in short
Well,
order.
well, it's still early days, but we might be able to get you invited for a semester, a visiting semester, or something like this. Um,
I think that's wonderful. It'd be nice to be back.
yes, and well, we are really working very hard to partner in an ethical and responsible way. So it would be nice to have more people who could um, be helpful with that.
Look forward to hearing from you. And I will contact you after all this is over. Give me a couple of days, but I will. Uh, I really must go. I
Please,
have
please.
to eat. And
Yes, of
I'm going to
course.
head
That she
out.
waves.
I wait back. Okay.
Mm,
Okay. Let's
mm-hmm,
do a little let's do a Google.
mm,
And let's look for Fatima Khaled, who I know is a researcher at the
mm-hmm,
Iraqi Museum. So at the very
mm-hmm,
least, that record might exist.
mm-hmm,
I'm looking for an image, maybe place a face to
mm-hmm,
a name.
mm-hmm.
Any
Mm-hmm.
more details about her?
Mm.
I have that
Uh,
possible Egyptian national,
yeah,
possible
yeah,
Palestinian.
uh, yeah, yeah, uh-huh. So that's weird. There is a name at the website, um, and there is no image, so you don't have a photo of her, and there is uh, very little info on her. She's just sort of listed as uh, a like a researcher emeritus, which means that she must have been there for some time in the past and maybe retired, which would then actually make sense why Professor Williams would actually pay attention to what she has to say if she is somebody who's like well regarded. Um, but you don't see any publications under the name, no like academic publications. There's very little web presence for her at all. Um, very little web presence, but maybe that's because she's older and old people don't use Twitter or Facebook, maybe. Um, but it's just this kind of funny um, little entry. She seems to be involved in cataloging, um, but you get like there's really almost nothing about her there other than the fact that she seems to have been someone who has a history of being involved there but is maybe retired. No images. There's a small little bio saying that um, she is a Palestinian archaeologist who, and again, there are things that are not in her bio that are often in other people's bios, but maybe she's not a person to brag, I guess. Um, you know, like it doesn't have where she went to university. On like you said, some people are like, I got my PhD from Oxford, and that is not there. Um,
Is there any contact information by any chance?
no, but what is your shadow score at right now? For no reason.
One.
One. Okay. Um, so what what all you get in there is that she is this researcher. She specializes in um, Muhammad, in his immediate family, um, in a region called Aram. Um, she did archaeology there. Um, which, of course, the region known as Aram is often one, uh, maybe Jordan. Uh, there, people think that is where the lost city would be from.
Could be. Yep.
Could be. Uh, and that she just does a lot of. She's very, let's just say, modest. Um,
Or
yes.
doesn't want a lot of details that can be
Mm,
tracked throughout a large period of time.
perhaps.
Like you're not going to find that she sat down for a portrait or,
mhm.
I don't know, paparazzi shot.
Yeah, yeah, that would also be accurate. There are no but she's just probably shy. Um, or oh wait, I know what it is. She's just a woman and not important, and so that's why people are probably not paying attention to her. Is probably what it is.
Wrong person to tell that
Sexism.
to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Uh-huh. And
I
that would be maybe not you, but that would be probably if you were somebody else, what you would probably assume is that you're going to guess, right? You know the kind of person that a regular person would guess that she would be. She's a woman who probably got her degree, right? If you're going to guess, right, the type of person that she reads as from her bio, probably her father was an academic. And she probably
Yeah.
learned a lot from her father, and then she was probably able to study because of her father. But probably, if she is older, you know, in her 60s, let's say, she probably got a job being a secretary or a cataloger. She's listed as a cataloger at the museum, where a job that a woman could get, but she probably wasn't given a lot of opportunity to actually do scholarship. But she's probably like the expert. She's that person that if you go to a place, you're like, that's the person you want to talk to because they know everything, because they've been there long enough, they know where everything is. And who never got the recognition that she deserved. You do have charm as a skill, which allows you to sort of know things about charming people. Um, and it's about Professor Williams. Professor Williams seems to you like the kind of person who um, would um, probably would like to see more representation, and probably feels a sense of social justice seems important to Professor Williams. And if there were a woman who was an older woman who, due to her gender, was going to be ignored by the powers that be and the structures that are important, uh, and that woman reached out to her and gave a recommendation of somebody to invite, you think that, because you do have charm, that Professor Williams would most likely absolutely go for that recommendation as a form of uh, righting
A
sort
historic
of
wrong, yeah.
people's historic wrongs. And you're like, right, Professor Williams probably cares about gender, race, sexuality, and religion. She's like that kind of next generation of scholar who's like, my country did some really gross things and I want to fix it. And so the kind of profile you're seeing on the museum website is the kind of profile that would very much lend Professor Williams to wanting to
It
take
seems
her recommendations.
targeted directly for her.
Sure. And also to get people who don't pay attention to not pay attention to
Yeah.
Fatima Khaled.
Okay. Great. Great. I'm like looking through all this information as I'm slowly walking to the tube
Mm-hmm.
station because
Mm,
I have a hotel to check out and I
mm-hmm.
also have a doctor's office to check out, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all before 5. So I'm a busy,
Yeah.
busy lad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think the first thing I'm going to do is check out the doc. Actually, I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to check out the hotel first.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It feels like it's probably just some CIA drop site that he was supposed to sit at. I doubt it's going to be that interesting, but
Sure.
do your
Yeah, yeah.
research, do your homework.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I just wanted to ask one last thing just because it's important.
Yeah,
While
yeah.
you were doing the research on the museum, did you want to look into Muhammad al-Kirkuk as well?
I'm saving that for later
Nice.
because I have a feeling that once I take some time and look through a little
Mm,
dossier, I might find even
mm.
more information on him because
Oh,
Sarajevo keeps coming up like a bad
oh,
disease.
that's weird. Interesting, interesting, interesting. That's fine. I think that does make sense. You might want to take a little bit of extra time rather than a cursory glance. That does make sense to me.
Yeah.
So, this hotel that you are looking for, it is not close by, but you can take the tube to get there. It's not. It's a little bit more of like a travel lodge. You know, it's not the most exciting sort of place that you could imagine. And where did I put that piece of paper? I always leave my piece of paper. This is it. Thank you. Um, so I
Hmm?
make maps for myself because
It
I like
helps.
doing that sort of thing. It does help. Um, so as you're heading out there, you're like what? Probably 2 o'clock or so. by the time you make your way there. And this place is not the most exciting place ever, sort of nondescript, which the Hotel Central, which of course would make sense. Uh, it's sort of like a small, bland, concrete sort of hotel. Mostly caters to weekend break tourists, probably from outside of London, business travelers on a small budget. So it's kind of a cheap hotel. When you sort of look at it, there is nothing um, charming about this hotel at all. It is it's a little sad, right? It's a place you go when you're going to be spending your money on other things. So you don't have money to spend on this. You do have, of course, a key card. Um,
I don't know which room it's for, I'm assuming.
no, you do, because you were able to sort of like you have some cryptography. You can get in there. I believe it was 204. Let me double check because I want to make sure I get that to you properly, because I don't want to give you because it might be 406. But let me just double check. I was right. It was 204. Ha! I like how I know these things. It was for 204, is the key card. And it looks like the kind of place that you would uh, hide out. You know, that's what it looks like. It looks like the kind of place where you would hide out.
A way station from one place to another.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Let's check out room 204. But before I do, I'm going to take a look at surveillance opportunities around it. Because if this was supposed to be a CIA drop-off point, doubtless it's being watched. Can I watch the watchers for a second?
This would be, you've got both tradecraft, you've got notice. What are you looking at?
Ooh, I'm looking for standard operating procedure when it comes to a place like this. I think it's tradecraft more often than not.
So, you are receded back. What's interesting to you is that there don't seem to be anyone watching them. You don't seem to have any tails. You get the vibe that this place, they had done a good job keeping this place off the radar. Probably only one key, probably two keys, right? One for the fifth agent and one for this team. And whoever that guy, Von Riddell, clearly did not pick up the key because he's like, I killed lots of people and then I'm leaving. Yeah. And there is, it's the kind of place where the front desk is a little bit bored and doesn't care too much. You know, doesn't ask a lot of questions. There aren't any vehicles that seem suspicious to you around. It seems like a pretty average place the CIA would go to hide out during an operation.
Okay. Let's check out room 204.
Do you have a key?
I have this key.
Indeed. When you go up, right, it's on the second floor. This the hotel only has 3 floors. You make your way up, and again, when you just walk by, the person who's on the desk just kind of looks up and doesn't. You seem like you belong there, so they don't really pay attention. When you make your way up to 204, you get to the door. Everything is quiet. You slip the key card into the lock. And you open up the door.
I'm going to stand just to the side of the door and let it open to nothingness, just in case. Because I know there's a fifth agent out there, and I don't know where he is hiding at.
The first thing, when you open the door, it swings open into nothingness, as you say. And you just hear nothing. But you do smell something that sort of wafts out as the door opens. Ammonia. Pine. Bit of disinfectant.
All right. I'm going to wait for a second, just a beat, see if anyone comes out, just in case I'm being taken for a fool. And then I'm going to wander in.
You wander in, and this place is completely clean, or at least that's what it looks like at first glance.
It's immediately cleaner than it should be.
Yes, absolutely. But, this is not the kind of hotel where the cleaning staff are that conscientious, if you know what I'm saying to you. But you can smell disinfectant on every single surface of this place. And it is completely clean. That said, you can tell that this was a cleanup job and hasty, right? That whoever did this quickly, in a rush. You are certain there are no fingerprints here anywhere in this room, that they've been cleaned. There's a balcony. This room has a balcony. And you can see that the waste paper basket that would normally be in this room is out there on the balcony. Yeah.
I'm going to go to the bathroom and check the drain.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case my forensic pathology bell is ringing.
Yeah. Forensic pathology will tell you definitely there are going to be no fingerprints in this place at all. This place has been cleaned, but it was hasty. So there are probably things you can find if you can figure out where they might have left them. There's nothing down the drain. The toilet seems fine. Nothing inside the tank. If you hit the balcony, the waste paper basket is full of ashes. Whoever cleaned up this place burned any kind of paperwork that might be incriminating, let's say, as is standard operating procedure. But and this is like that. This has got sort of standard what you would get in most hotel rooms. But again, I would note that this place is a little bit antiquated, right? In the sense that the TV that's there is not a nice flat screen. It's actually like one of the CRTs. And the wallpaper's kind of 1970s. This kind of looks like this place has not been updated in a while, in terms of decor and the things that you would find in this place.
What is the newest thing in the room?
Certainly not the table or the chairs. There's a calendar on the wall that's new. It is from last year, so not that useful.
But it's not like anything here was removed and then replaced.
No. Tell me about how much you want to go through this room.
Somewhere between a cursory and an taking time to do it. Like maybe in half an hour at most.
Okay.
I also want to do the work. Like I pull out a glove, just a single
Yeah.
glove,
Yeah.
and I will dump out those ashes at some point and replace the
Yeah.
paper wastebasket in the right place and
Yeah.
drop off the key and check out. Like that's the goal here,
Yeah.
is to finish their job for them,
Yes.
because I can tell it
Yes.
was rushed, and
Yeah.
whatever's going on, I don't think anyone should know about it. But in the meantime, I want to know as much as I
Yeah.
can.
Well,
So I'm going to look for
I will.
places that are often ignored. So like under the bed,
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
corners of the closet, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Um, Whoever did this was a professional, but stressed. Anything personal or professional is gone and burned. There are no clues here at all. Nothing at all, except you can't always remember everything, right?
Nope.
Anything that would be incriminating that you would think about is gone. But there is one thing that is by itself may not be interesting, but there's a phone book. There's a phone book here in the hotel. It looks like a phone book that has been here for a while. It is not a new phone book. It is an old phone book. And that in and of itself would not be particularly interesting. It's part of, like, there's like a phone book here. There's like some tourist pamphlets. Like, when you come into a place, they've got, they're like, here's some restaurants and here's some hotels, like that kind of a thing. There is a phone book, but somebody left a biro in the phone book.
Intriguing.
So you can open it to the page that whoever this was looking at last, because they forgot to take the pen out of the phone book.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take a little photograph of it.
It's a page that is a list of financial investment firms with offices in London. Just like a big list of, like, it's just a page of a bunch of different investment firms in London. And it's a pretty decent list of names.
I pull open my program from the NATO conference. Can I cross-reference anything?
What skills would you be looking for, by the way?
That's a good question, because I don't have accounting.
Accounting is a good skill.
It is. I just unfortunately do not have it. Notice is the most I can do.
That won't get you much. Besides noting that most of these are like a wide variety of, like, national and international firms. None of them are particularly big or impressive enough to be part of the NATO conference. Some of them are small, some of them are large. It's kind of like your average. It's an average business page. Nothing of note yet.
And maybe a bit of research. A little bit of research.
You have your phone, I assume.
Yes, I do.
You will need to take time.
Okay, I'm gonna pin it for later. Pin it for later. And I'm gonna check the waste paper basket outside and bring it in. Is there anything salvageable from these ashes at all?
She was good enough on that one.
She?
Maybe.
I'll take the waste paper basket and I'll empty it out into the toilet and flush the toilet. And then put the waste paper basket where it probably should be inside the room.
Yeah.
Move the pen out of the phone book. Do one more quick little scan, all one-handed, because I only have the one glove. And I'm going to
Using which skill?
That would be a little bit of tradecraft, I would say.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And a bit of notice, because as I walked in, I probably
Mm-hmm.
crossed at least
Mm-hmm.
one open room, so I know what they should look
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
You're Canadian intelligence, yes?
Yeah. Well, kind
Uh,
of, yes.
well, I mean, you're an asset for. Um, how well do you know the CIA?
I've worked with them more than once,
Hmm.
uh, but only in a cursory fraction. I've seen them when they're at their most stressed, though.
Mm.
I have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
So I have a good idea of both their standard operating procedure and their, not to coin this, FUBAR procedure.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, and I have a bit of an understanding of like what the average what they look for in the CIA, you know,
Mm.
what the average
Mm-hmm.
person they hire is like,
Mm.
what things
Well,
they're likely to discount.
yeah. You're also an asset.
Yep.
So, um, there are a lot of things you just wouldn't know, but you would know this. Um, the CIA, when they deal with assets, tend to go through shell companies, plausible deniability, companies that can get money, and then those shell companies will
Like a
pay
financial
assets,
company.
like a financial company, for example. Um, you are pretty certain that one of these financial firms on this list is probably a cutout company for the CIA, that they probably use to pay assets and that sort of thing. Why an agent would be going to a cutout company would be a question. Why she would be looking one up. Let's say she. Why this agent would be looking up a cutout company rather than going to superiors, or right, because cutout companies are usually for, yeah, they often deal with
Handlers.
assets, right? Yeah.
Yeah, assets
um
and handlers. They wouldn't deal
yeah,
with someone who's direct an operative,
right,
which
unless
means
something
probably,
bad happened, I guess.
well, you know, a lot of bad things have happened. I think maybe they might be looking to see just how, because here's the thing, I'm assuming this person,
Mm-hmm.
whoever they are,
Mm-hmm.
knows that there's a mole. There has to be,
Yeah.
for what
Yeah.
has happened to us to have happened.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
either they're looking at the
Yes.
financial company,
Yes.
or they're looking to see if someone is involved in that financial company.
Or alternately, if you brought up the mole theory, the cutout company probably doesn't have the mole, right? Or at least not that mole, because the cutout company would not have been involved, right? If you like, would not have been involved in this operation, because they
It's
do other things, right?
which is why you wouldn't talk to your handler, to your supervisor, to what have you, because
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. I make a note. Uh,
So so this agent has left. Looking at your theory about the mole, they are probably going to head to whichever one of these is the cutout company, um, if they're going to need help, right? Because that would be a place to go where the people who are there would not have been part of the operation. So you could probably get access without necessarily tripping out whoever the mole might be.
I'm gonna message Carpenter,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to give him a link
Mm-hmm.
to a Dropbox
Mm-hmm.
with this
Mm-hmm.
image of the financial companies in it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
might want to look into investing.
Mm-hmm.
I hear the fifth on the list, though I might be
Mm-hmm.
wrong, is the one to look for. And
Mm-hmm.
then, and I hope he'll understand that I don't mean the
Mm-hmm.
fifth on the list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping and
Mm-hmm.
praying. You never
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the end of my investigation into this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to clean this place up to the best of my ability, finish up their
Yes.
job, check out, like drop the card and say, we're
Yeah.
gone.
and you have forensic pathology, and you're able to like, there are a couple of hairs here or there that you're like, oh, okay, brunette, right? Like you're like, oh, not the like bathtub, like okay, and you're thinking there's probably they probably had more than one room, right? And like you are able to finish up that cleanup, and you, by the way, using your contact who does have the accounting skill, uh, good move. Where are you headed?
Okay. What time is it?
Oh well, at this point it's probably about 3.
3.
Mhm.
This doctor's office, is it anywhere near the Russian embassy?
It is not far, no.
I think it's perfect to head
Conveniently.
there next. I want to.
No.
I have a meeting at 5,
Mm-hmm.
but why not scope out this doctor's office before that meeting?
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Almost like I planned it
a-
that way.
yeah. As you're traveling, you're getting on the tube, you get a message from Carpenter. And the message says, hello, old chum. I don't think the fifth is a good investment. I would actually check out CJH Investments. They're a, they're a good one to look out for. Uh, they're a small firm, focuses on the developing world. And that's all it says.
I reply, I'd love for more information if you've got it. I will otherwise check them out tomorrow. Busy boy today.
Mm.
And send that like as I'm getting onto Jubilee
Yeah.
Station. Just send it out.
Yeah. And it's, the
Sorry,
place is like
the
in
line.
the heart of like London's financial district. Just a little small development firm specializing in the developing world. Uh,
Hmm.
and he was like, that's the one. That's the one for you. Um, and then, like, after a moment, you get a second one. Um, and it says, oh, um, you should contact, I believe, investment manager Nelson Seals.
Nelson Seals.
Hmm. Uh, he's got good advice.
Noted. Noted. I'm still heading towards this doctor's office. And
Hmm.
I'll
Hmm.
reply, talk all about it tonight. And end it there.
Hmm. So, before we go to break, you travel down towards the doctor's office on the tube, pondering. I would also say to you that you got the sense that whoever it was who left that room today, right? That whole thing happened last night. And you got a sense they probably left and cleaned out today. So they have not been gone from the hotel long. They probably went straight over to that investment firm. Is what you're guessing. You're guessing that based on like the fact that the smell was still in the air, the fact that it did not seem as if those ashes had been burned that long ago. So it seems like you probably just missed this person, this agent, by like in maybe an hour or two, perhaps. Would be your timeline guess. Uh, yes. So you head down towards this office. What time is it exactly? It is about 4. Is that right? By the time you would get there?
3:34.
3:34? Let me just check because there are a couple of things that are happening at various moments. Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Uh, look, there is an important thing. What time does that meeting happen? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You fool, at 3 p.m., the apocalypse occurs right on that spot.
Well, it's just that some people have meetings in various places, and some of those
Of course they do.
places, you know, uh,
I expected.
are, yes. Um, Lucky for you, there's more than one meeting that has to happen, which means this one is clear. When you get to the doctor's office outside this place, reminds you kind of one that you saw in a dream a little bit. Not the same, but like the same kind of sort of architecture. Um, Nice, quiet, like a nice wooden door. There's like it's a quiet street, little post office, little post box, like a mailbox down there, post box. Um, One of these kind of places that you don't have huge amounts of traffic. It's a little, it's quasi residential, not exactly, but like it's not too far from the embassy, but it's kind of a bit of a quieter street, so that you don't have to deal with huge amounts of traffic. And it's got some beautiful windows. It's a 2-story, and there are CCTV cameras everywhere, of course. And this is it's a little bit intense right now for the conference, but it seems to be a place that is now currently relaxed at this moment.
Trooper, I
Hmm,
have architecture.
you do.
And I'm more
You
than
do.
happy to give you a push if you really need one.
Hmm.
Can I find the best way to infiltrate this place without drawing too much attention from those cameras? Not through the front
What?
door.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Rooftops, fire
Mm-hmm.
escapes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. Um, well, I would need from you something slightly different,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't mind. This would actually be a test.
Absolutely. An infiltration test, I'm assuming.
No, surveillance
No.
first.
Surveillance.
Because you are wanting to check out the place, right? Try to get a sense of the comings and goings, best way of getting in or out. And you can get a +2 if you push architecture.
Can I call that +2 later on? Or do I have to do it
Absolutely.
before the roll?
Nope. You can
Okay.
always do after. Before or after is up to
Let's
you. There are no extra
let's
problems because now you're being kind of chill.
tell me tell me what I'm aiming for here to
Mm.
advance.
You're aiming for a 7 to advance. I will also note, don't say anything yet. And also, let me get right here for you. Also, I will say the other thing you have to sort of think about is there are no extra problems. You do have a -1 for each heat you have.
Gravy.
Mm-hmm. Which I
So
believe
it
is.
can't take
Mm-hmm.
it's 3.
Yes, it is 3.
So I'm partying with a -1 right now.
You are.
That's
Need
great.
is 7.
Uh yep, yep, I got 8 more to get.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Describe
there's
how
no
you start the scoping out of this place.
I got out of the tube station. I grabbed like a coffee or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I'm doing is like looking like it's a normal day. I'm going on a
Mm-hmm.
walk. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm scrolling through my
Mm-hmm.
phone. If anyone were to look at my phone, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably a social network. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at pictures of landscapes,
Mm-hmm.
trying to stay calm, not really paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to what I'm seeing because I'm really
Mm-hmm.
looking somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do a small circumnavigation of the building
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as I'm going, but in a very like relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I've got an appointment in the area kind of way. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just a nice neighborhood kind of way.
Uh-huh. I do theoretically have an extra problem if necessary, but you have another die. I
I do
believe
have
this
another
is your
die.
first. It's
I would
first
like to
first surveillance
stunt
check.
though.
Would
I'd
you like
like
to
to
start
stunt
before or after?
before. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference here because
Uh,
no matter what, if I
mhm.
get a 6, I'm still at a 5.
What would you
Uh,
like to stunt?
cool. Because
Tell me
I'm
about it.
playing it cool. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping my head about me. I'm taking the time I
Mm-hmm.
need to. I have an
Mm-hmm.
alarm on my clock from this
Okay.
place
Yeah.
to the embassy, so I can make it for
Okay.
5:05. 5 minutes late.
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
I'm prepared. I'm
Mm-hmm.
relaxed, and more
Mm-hmm.
importantly, I'm throwing my shoulders back. This
Mm-hmm.
is just me. So if the
Mm-hmm.
CCTV cameras see me, they're going
Mm-hmm.
to be seeing
Mm-hmm.
a normal person who is not
Mm-hmm.
suspicious whatsoever, right? And I'm using all the skills
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also don't
Yeah.
have anything on my mind because remember,
Mm-hmm.
I was suffering from some cool issues
Mm-hmm.
earlier. That is no
You
longer the
were.
case. I
I think
was
that is fair.
already.
Make your so you have 2 dice left then.
Yes, I have 2 dice left.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll another d6 for you.
A 1. So you're now at 0.
I need to get 7.
Tell me about how this works. What's happening at this moment?
Uh, honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
think uh I think I see someone smoking wandering past me, and the
Mm-hmm.
thought just crosses my mind. I could really
Oh, yeah.
use a nicotine break right now. I could
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
give up. I could,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of the things that I've been pushing back. You know what actually would go well with a cigarette?
Mm-hmm.
Just a glass of, like a tall glass of beer.
Oh.
That would be nice. That'd be nice. And you know what? The gay village is not that far. If I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
indulge in other, no,
Mm-hmm.
focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single distracting issue
Mm-hmm.
pops up in his mind
Mm-hmm.
all at once.
Mm-hmm.
But he
Mm-hmm.
readjusts himself
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
technically speaking, I've got a plus
Mm-hmm.
2, and I'm going to give you
Mm-hmm.
that architecture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Just one push left.
Uh-huh. And
5.
one
I've got
die.
5 to get. I
Yeah.
can get that on one
Mm-hmm.
die. That's a
You
theoretical
can.
possibility. Even if I do not, that's
There
to
is
advance. Maybe I'll hold.
that is correct. There is also an extra problem which you may not want, but there is an extra problem available that you might get if you're hanging about a little bit too long.
I don't know if I want to risk it. Oh, I'm just one under. How is that physically possible?
Okay. So you're at a 6 and you're
Yeah,
currently out of dice.
I am. I'm not going to take that problem though. I'm gonna hold
Are you
here.
sure? Okay.
I'm not. If if this won't hold, then nothing will.
Okay.
I'm one
Uh,
under the advance. I think I'm satisfied.
yes, you do hold, by the way.
Thank God.
That you do hold. You spend a little bit longer than you probably should. And as you are sort of scoping this out, you notice a couple of things. The first is that the security in this building is quite good. It's also locked, right? You have to be buzzed in, right? Through the front door, at least. You have to be buzzed in. So it's not like you can't just go in to say hello. You have to get access.
Mhm.
You also note that depending, you could, if you were, there are more than one ways to get into a building. You can go in through the front door. You can also break in. You sort of note there are a couple of windows on the second floor that if you climbed up there, you could probably get in with while avoiding the CCTV cameras. It also, you kind of get the sense that the security is a little bit less intense, right? On the second floors from the outside, they're not necessarily thinking people are going to do that. But you can notice a couple of different ways in which you could probably, a couple like blind spots, and also a
Yep.
couple of ways in. If you had a little bit more time, you think that you could really easily find your way in without any trouble, but you don't have extra time. So you do get the sense that probably it'll be a little bit of work to get in, but you think you can do it. That said, as you're doing your walk around, you just missed something. Or should I say, someone just missed you. You just turn a corner, right? Right when you happen to catch out of the corner of your eye that Bluesky Bratva guy sort of stroll past. He doesn't see you. And you just catch him right like as he turns a corner. And you got the sense that they were perhaps they were scoping out this place, but you get the sense that they had left their shift, right? They were done now with their surveillance of this place. That they were sort of lingering on a little bit longer, but they are still lurking about. And it's definitely the Bluesky Bratva who are
Great.
checking up.
Great.
But it does seem to you that whatever business they had, they're done with it for today, let's say.
All right. All right. This is the moment where I would ask Chad, should I break in or not? Should I break in or not? But Chad, you're not here. I wish
I
you
will
were.
note,
if you aren't, Chad.
I will note
Let me know what you
this.
do.
The business is still open. If you're going to break in, you might want to break in at night. That would be the safest for you.
All right. Which direction is this Brava agent person going? Towards the embassy, away from the embassy?
Away from the embassy. I was going to point that way, but you're like, I don't know where that is.
Yeah. I'm going to go into a local establishment, whatever it is, and pick up something, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to head straight towards the embassy.
Okay.
Pin it for later. A lot of pinning today.
All right, then. Yeah. You head towards the embassy. And as you approach the beautiful Russian embassy, you notice immediately security is heightened. They seem to be on high alert as you approach, leaving behind the doctor's office that you may not want to break into while the doctor is there.
I don't know. Maybe he'll like me. You never know.
He might. It depends on whether or not you want to meet him as in a break-in moment or meet him or see the office without him. Depends. If you wanted to stick around and miss all of your meetings, you could probably just wait until he leaves and you could maybe follow him or something. But again, that would be missing all of your meetings.
That would be a mistake.
And as you step up to the embassy you can see some armored cars out front. They seem to be on high alert. But you have a meeting, an appointment. But that appointment we will find out about after this break. We'll be right back, everybody. And then when we get back, we're going to head into the embassy.
It's going to be fun. Everything's fine.
And we are back, everyone, for the second part of episode 3, session 3 of Seasons of Death Winter, Out of the House of Ashes. And when we left, our protagonist had visited this hotel room where an agent clearly left in a hurry and gave indication they were going to go to a CIA cutout corporation called CJH Investments. Probably to try to get help where there's no mole, and then just strolled by this doctor's office, took some time to scope it out, got the hold, so has a sense of how to come in, probably at dusk after the offices have closed, but the visibility is not so great, probably a better time to come in like dusk or nighttime, has a good sort of sense of a better way in, and then decided to head to the embassy, where they have a meeting with Shevlenko, but security is tight. So, I'm going to just bring up a thing right now because that's sort of important. If you did not have an appointment to meet with him, you would need to make a cover check right about now.
Luckily, I
And
do.
you do. And I'm just going to tell you this just so you know, in case you were curious. If you had tried to make this appointment fresh and new yesterday, your advance would be an 8. Today, it is a 9. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it would be a 9 to get that appointment. But luckily, you already have one. When you step in, it's clear that there is a conflict of interest. One is there are people who are coming into this embassy because to be part of the trade conference, and so they do have to let people in. But also, they are clearly on high alert as if something bad had happened, and they want to be very secure. What bad thing? I'm sure they don't know. And when you come in, one of the sort of security is like, "Let me see your who are you here for, and what is your name?" And this is where I'm going to ask you, which name did you give them for the appointment? And by the way, chat, I gave updated cards, and we spent some time making the cards all nice and pretty because I do like that. And you have your legend, Osman Fayez. What is the text on it?
You've created a solid legend as a member of the East African Trade Union with a legitimized badge to attend the UN Global Trade Conference. Gain a +1 on cover tests when operating as Fayez in appropriate circumstances. Discard for a bureaucracy or high society push. 2 skills I don't usually have. To gain items or access appropriate, I'm assuming, places for Fayez.
Well, access is just general access, like access to places or
Or
people, you know.
items or access appropriate. That makes sense,
Yeah.
yep. I put the space in the wrong place. So that's exciting. That's exciting.
Uh-huh.
That's exciting. And that's the name I indeed gave.
Uh, please give us your name, please.
Osman Fayez.
All right. And he checks, you are here for Mr. Shevlenko. Please follow me. And one of these security guards takes you into the Russian embassy. This place is exceedingly secure. It is distressingly secure. It is highly guarded, highly secure. No one is getting in or out or out or out easily. It's not. There's probably a reason why the CIA tried to grab him when he was at that um, party rather than here. There is so much security here, and the doors are a little bit thicker than they might otherwise be. There's like it is a place. And as he is taking you up to where you're going to meet Shevlenko, he has you stop and he's like, wait one moment, and he sort of sits you down in like a foyer space. And as you sort of sit there, and there are people everywhere, there are security guards everywhere, there are people everywhere. And so you're waiting. And as you are waiting, you notice, oh, no, those are all FSB people. Like you see them all around with like on high alert. And as you are sort of waiting, the door opens and 2 men walk out. One younger, one older, one like a rich European socialite guy in a expensive suit, one in a slightly older looking suit, and the younger guy is smirking as they walk past, uh, finishing their appointment, and the guard they don't notice you. Uh, the guard who has escorted you says, "Okay, it's okay for you to come in now." and he sort of like gestures towards the door.
While I'm getting up and I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
around, I don't know what
Mm,
Shevlenko was grabbing underneath his shirt
that
around
is
his
correct.
neck.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at these two as they're wandering
Mm-hmm.
out, these two
Mm-hmm.
gigantic, a not nice word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do any
Mm-hmm.
of them look like they might be stashing something in their pockets?
No. No. And what else? Generally, no. That's notice, yeah? No.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you notice cockiness, um, victory,
Yep.
power,
This could be such a
arrogance.
waste of time.
Uh, like I have everything I want. I own the world. I am the best. That's the vibe you're getting. Although to be fair, he does tend to have that vibe a lot. So I mean, there is that. But you know, yeah. Mm, mm-hmm.
It's fine. Everything's fine. We're not going to get into a
Mm-hmm.
fight here yet.
Mm,
I hope.
mm-hmm.
And then Osmond picks up his jacket and dusts off some crumbs from the protein bar he was eating.
And the guy Simon just kind of glances at you in passing. Doesn't seem to recognize you at the moment. You've done well so far, but just sort of notes you as somebody not very interesting. Uh,
That's how I like it.
just he walks a little funny though, like his movements. Um, like he's walking, but he kind of like takes a couple steps to the left and then continues walking. It's as if there was like something on the ground that he didn't want to step over as he sort of passes by. Like a little kind of like a little funny stumble.
Okay, I got a weird question. The weirdest
Mm,
question.
mm-hmm.
History,
Mm-hmm.
but history, but sometimes when I play an older character, I usually give
Mm,
them a mannerism or two. This
mm-hmm.
is Norton speaking. A mannerism or
Mm,
two, or a hint of something connecting their past, right?
mm-hmm.
So maybe if my character was around during the '80s, they
Mm.
observe hanky code, for
Yeah. Yeah.
instance. Even in
Mm-hmm.
the modern day, even
Yeah.
dressed like a
Yeah.
modern day person. So
Yeah. Yeah.
quickly, while I take a look at Simon's
Mm-hmm.
impeccable wardrobe, is there anything that
Mm-hmm.
hints at just how old he actually is? A style of dress, the way he folds his kerchief, handkerchief, who knows?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A brooch.
Um, no, not at all. There is, this is, if you had high side be a bit more, but he is very modern. Vibe is like personal shopper, right? Like that he has got, um,
Oh, I hate those people.
yeah, but like it is aggressively of the moment, shall we say, right? That for like you might think if you were not you, you might think, oh, he's this rich guy that has like some personal shopper that keeps him up to date, and very clearly cares about fashion. Um, mhm. That would be what like your average person would probably think about that.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's go in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's walk to my doom.
Hmm. Uh, you walk in to this room, and in this room, it's an office. There's a nice sofa. There's a desk. There are a couple of like it's actually a bit spacious. There are a couple of like end tables with lovely lamps. It's a very nice and sort of comfortable place. There's a bar, and there is Shevlenko with a glass of alcohol in his hand, sort of leaning up against uh, the sort of like the bar area. And there is his nurse is there. She uh, is, a little. She looks. Um, she's the one that looks the least dangerous. You know,
Yeah.
the younger one, uh, and she is taking his temperature. The big bruiser, he's also there, sort of leaning up against the wall. There's only two of them here at the moment. Maybe they're taking shifts. He, for his part, seems not well. He seems a little stressed.
Worse than yesterday, better than yesterday.
Worse than yesterday. He seems a little upset, is I guess the best way to put it.
So odd, honestly. I mean, yesterday was great, right? Great speech.
Yeah. And he doesn't just look ill, which he still does look ill. Looks a bit weak. Physically weak, generally speaking, but he looked physically weak yesterday as well. But he seems emotionally upset right now, is I think the best way to put it. Fresh emotional upset is I think what I would say. Yeah. And the big bruiser, he is, you see him coming out of a back room. There's like a room behind this one. He wasn't initially in the room when you walked in. It was just the I was going to say assassin. I don't know why I'd say that. The nurse was there. And then the big bruiser sort of came out of this of this door that's in the back when you come in. And he stands up and he says to you, it is good to see you, Mr. Baez. And there's this, like, he seems tired. He seems defeated. And he has, like, one hand at this glass of alcohol, and then the other hand goes to, like, the thing around his neck. And he says, you'll have to forgive me. It has been a long day. And this is being said in Russian because you had spoken to him in Russian. And both of his minders are paying close attention to everything that is happening here. To keep him safe, I guess.
I'm so glad to see you too. You look a bit poor though. Are you all right?
My health is. I am an old man. So, please, East African Trade Company, he says to you. And I will just note, everybody's paying attention to everything that's happened in this conversation because it is in Russian. And they're just paying attention. And he sort of moves from the bar and he sits down on the couch with this heavy, kind of just like falls into this couch in this heavy way, as if he were like a dead man walking. You know what I mean? Like it does not seem, he does not seem to be in the best of moods, is the best way I can put it. How can I help you?
I was wondering if I could help. You referenced the CIA Hatname in your speech. And I'm so curious as to and I'm going to pretend to struggle with Russian. This would be easier, and I say it almost underneath my breath. If I could just ask you to speak in Arabic.
And the two minders are paying very close attention to what you're saying. They're like, you got quiet, and so they kind of lean in a little bit. And he goes, oh, he says, I speak Arabic. If speaking in Russian is too difficult, I can switch over if that is better for you. I learned Arabic when I was a much younger man.
And with like shock on his face, And in his voice, he says, I know, that's why I said what I said.
Hmm. He sort of smiles and nods. Says, "Yes, I learned it from a friend of a friend. Uh, Haji Abdullah was a friend of mine. Well, I learned it from his son.
I'm
And he
sorry that,
switches into Arabic.
yeah, I am so sorry. And this is in Arabic. I'm so sorry that yesterday didn't work out well.
And you can see there's a little bit of like, he tenses up a little bit. By the way, Haji Abdullah is the name that the St. John Philby used.
Yep.
And he sort of tenses up because he's not quite certain, where, if you mean that as a threat or not a threat. Like that, like, something, and now he's trying to figure it out, right? You know what I mean? And he sort of looks at you a bit. Well, my talk, I think, could have gone better. And you can see his eyes drift between his two minders just a little bit, who do not seem to understand what you all are saying at all. And he stops and he leans towards me and he goes, this man is from the East African Trading Company and his Russian is not so good. So we're going to conduct this meeting about mineral rights in Arabic. I hope that is okay.
Yes, it concerns Arab investment post colonization, in specifically Uganda and the areas around Kenya. If you need me, and I speak directly to the miners, if you need me to
Yep.
speak in Russian for note taking, I can do that.
And the big bruiser guy looks at you and kind of just notes your lack of Russian skill, sort of snorts a little bit and just sort of leans back. He seems to be here to be intimidating, right? And the nurse, she looks at you with this big smile, and she sort of moves up towards you, and she says, and she just puts her hand on your forearm, and she gets a little close, and she's wearing this like a very nice perfume, and she looks at you, and she looks so innocent, and like maybe she's the kind of person who just cares so much about people, and like she's a giver, and she really just is here to just help people. And maybe, I'm going to say this, but I'm not saying that's how you feel, but maybe you find her unbelievably attractive and you would want to protect her and help her out. It's just the vibe that is, do you know what I mean? Being sort of put out as she just stands a little bit inside of your personal space, and then she just like brushes her hair back, and it's very subtle. It kind of, it's like she's not flirting with you. You have the skill flirting, do you not?
I'm charmed. I don't think there's a flirting skill,
Charm.
is there? Yeah, just charm.
No, it's charm. It's charm. She is doing that thing where she is trying to reverse seduce you, right? She wants to get you to seduce her by making it seem like she's not trying to seduce you, but she's the kind of person that you would totally want to seduce, right?
Yep.
But in a kind of protector savior kind of a way, right? She's like, I feel like that's going to work with this person. Let's try it out, right? That's the vibe you're getting. That my understanding is that you're not attracted to her, so it's not going to work on you. But it would probably work on other people, is what I would say. Uh,
Sure.
in a very the kind of woman who can make, you know, those movies where somebody's like, I'm in love with this dame, I think I'm gonna kill her husband, it's all my idea, but then maybe it's not your idea at all, maybe it was her idea.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah, yeah,
vibe. Yep.
it's that vibe. It's that vibe, but she's going for the moment for like, I'm so caring and helpful, and you're gonna want to help me, you know. And she says, oh, you know, I don't know much about this trade, but if speaking in Arabic is more useful for you, it's okay. Um, it's important that our trade partners are comfortable, and we did check to make sure that your credentials were good, and so I'm sure it will be all right. But please, um, Mr. Shevlenko has a very weak heart, so if you could make sure that you would not do anything to upset him, that would be so important.
Of course, I pretend to be a bit flustered, and maybe a part of me would have been had I not been through the past several days.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm pretending to be flustered. I'm gonna use a little bit of charm. Maybe I can make sure that my office sends some Russian notes your way, so that way you'll understand exactly uh, the speech discussion having.
And she just puts her hand on your shoulder. That is so kind of you. And she just sort of smiles a little bit, and you just get this sense that she is so overworked taking care of this very ill man. And, you know, she probably has all sorts of hopes and dreams as this young woman who's a nurse. You just get that vibe, you know? And she just sort of smiles, and you can tell that she is just a humanitarian. And
Uh huh.
yeah, yeah, you get that vibe so strong. Uh, and she just smiles at you, and she sort of takes some notes in her notepad, and it looks like a nurse's notepad for like vitals and all of that. And she just sort of moves a little bit away from you both so you can chat on the couch. But they are both in this room, and the man, the big burly guy, he is not paying that much attention. He's kind of like maybe like a snake or a watchdog. If they're really fast movements, he might then sort of jump forward, but otherwise he doesn't seem to be paying that much attention. The minute you start speaking Arabic, he starts tuning out. You know what I mean? Like that's not
Yeah.
uh, very interesting for him. But she is aware, and there was something. Where is the amulet, by the way?
It's in my breast pocket right now.
As she was speaking to you, you just felt a little bit of warmth from it. Just a little bit of warmth.
Oh no, this is the worst day.
Hmm.
That charm might have been a bit more than just more. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
I'm going to take a
Hmm.
quick tradecraft look because I haven't said anything too suspicious yet. I'm going to take a
Mm-hmm.
quick tradecraft look
Mm-hmm.
around.
Oh yeah.
Any
Mm-hmm.
chance we're being digitally observed, mechanically observed?
So that's such a great question. And who would do that? Would there be any kind of observance and surveillance in the Russian embassy? No, except uh, you just caught it was a very brief glimpse of his eyes, and you didn't actually even need him to do it. There is a plant, uh, and you're like, that's where I would put the bug. You are pretty certain that this room is bugged and that whatever is being said here is going to be recorded. And the plant is on a different corner from where it's closer to where the bar is. Uh, it's and the guard guy, he's closer to that back door, which might be where they sort of hang out or whatever. But you will note that he did not seem to be present for that conversation between Simon and like because he was not in the room, she was, but he wasn't. So maybe it was only her who was in the room when Simon and the other guy was there. But he's like near the back, and she's off near where the desk is. But there is a plant that is near, that's like on the bar, and you're like, that is where they would put the bug. That is where they would put the bug.
I'm gonna say, well, okay, Arabic, so much easier. Hold on. I tap his thigh, like
Mm-hmm.
we're sitting beside each other. I tap his thigh,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go and get myself a drink from the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so
And he
what I
starts
wanted to,
speaking. He starts saying, uh, well, if you're here, we could talk about the Ugandan mineral rights. And he just starts speaking about Ugandan mineral rights in a bit of a, it's the way he speaks. It's like a drone. There's like very little emotion in it. It feels like he is exhausted and tired. And the way he speaks just is very boring, right? You just start tuning it out after a bit as he's sort of just going on as you go over to the bar. Um, and there's just something about it that is very, it's hard to pay attention, not for you, but if you were not like, it just seems very boring, right? As he's speaking Arabic about just like the details of trade, like, and very specific details. And as he's talking, he seems to actually know quite a bit about Ugandan mineral rights, and he is giving it to you in the most boring way. And every once in a while, like a proper noun will come out, and you'll notice the nurse perk up, pay attention, recognize the words as very boring mineral trade craft words, and then kind of go back down to her to like to relaxing, right? And he's giving you this patter as you go up to the bar.
I make up some nonsense about an oral tradition that suggested that there was a mine of some kind nearby the old Ugandan railroad. Because I'm like
Mm,
feeding into this, and I'm again saying it as
mm-hmm.
boring as possible.
Yeah,
Once in a
yeah,
while, I'll
yeah,
drop in an English
yeah,
word to reference like an
yeah,
English company.
yeah.
And I'm going to
Mm-hmm,
pour myself.
mm-hmm.
It's a fully stocked bar, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. I will tell you, this guy seems like the biggest alcoholic who's burnt out and over it and not at all on top of things. That is not necessarily your impression of him, but that is certainly the impression that one would have of him. Um,
I pick up a good
yes.
scotch and
Mm-hmm,
I pour a glass next to the plant.
mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. How do I get rid of this thing? How do I eliminate this thing? I could break the plant. I could push it off,
You
but
do
I
have
feel like that'd cause
your
stir.
notice
Yeah.
will let you see it, right? Your notice will let you identify it, sort of like hidden, tucked within the potted plant.
Does it transmit, and or does it store information, or both?
You would say it is transmitting. You can tell from like the style of bug that it is.
Can I, if I were
Mm-hmm.
to cover it with something like underneath my clothes, would
Mm-hmm.
it uh hear anything?
Well, let's
Is it powerful
see.
enough?
Well, it's tell me, do you have electronic surveillance?
No, I do not.
What do you have
I do
here?
not. Just a bit of tradecraft, just a bit of
Mm-hmm.
streetwise.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
and that's roughly it. I mean, I'm designed to, I look out for these things, but I
Mm-hmm.
usually talk my way
Mm-hmm.
through them. I don't try to get rid of it, but I need to talk to this guy as plainly as possible.
You do, and here's the thing: nobody in this room can speak Arabic, but surely they're going to have somebody who can look at these recordings and hear what's being said.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Um, it will have to be a spend. I'm going to need a push, is what I'm going to
Hmm.
need to get through this. But I need to know which skill you would use and how you would use this to be able to get this um, mic not picking up what you need to say. But it will be a push.
It will be a push.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a push.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use
Mm-hmm.
my general ability filch as an investigative ability and push that?
Say more about what you do. Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I want to take it and eliminate its ability to actually hear us anything close to properly for now,
Mm-hmm.
with the intention of
Mm-hmm.
trying to replace it later.
So filch is sleight of hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just taking it yourself, but also just like also planting things on people. You can do a lot with that. You could use filch to move it from one place to a different place without being observed. For example, you could put it in a glass of the alcohol, right? You could get it into a place where it's just not going to be able to pick up. And, if you spend the spend, you can make it look like it was some sort of accident. Filch will do that for you.
This Hungarian jerk, what would he drink? What would he drink if he were to drink?
Probably the most expensive thing.
Yeah, so I'm going to use filch. I'm going to spend that point. I have no more pushes left. That's bad.
That is true. That is true. You do
It's
not.
bad.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to find the most expensive bottle, and I'm going to force it through that bottle. So if someone were to look,
yeah,
and I like hold it briefly, I look at it, I surreptitiously do that, and then I put it back, not taking a drink out of it. Because if someone were to look, I want them to immediately think it was the rich boy.
Yeah, I see you.
Not this guy. This guy's nothing, man.
Yeah.
And my
absolutely.
thought is that if he's anything like that, like the cameras, he wasn't picked up on the sound either. So could have been just this happened over time, fizzled out.
Yeah.
Not 100% chance of that working out, but it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing.
Yes. As you are looking, though, you will notice something a little off. The cameras, because there are cameras in here.
Of course.
They have been moved, tipped upward a little bit, so that if somebody came in who may not be caught on cameras, they would not notice that this person was not caught on camera. Because the cameras are tilted upwards, so they say they wouldn't actually catch the people.
Maybe that person just sidled in.
Yeah. Probably. Because you came when you did a little bit early and they were a little bit late, they did not have any time. There was no time to reset anything because they came out when you came in, right? So the cameras are still sort of tipped up a little bit so as not to actually see anyone who would be in the room.
The moment this occurs, the moment I'm like, that bug is handled, I take a quick glance around. I'm certain there's nothing more, or at least I would be.
Yes.
And then I say, so why was that man who attacked you last night, and I say it in the most boring tone of voice possible, why was that man who attacked you last night wandering out of here like the cat who got the cream?
And he just sort of like takes this swig of this drink and he says, I don't know you.
Say me. The dead owners give property to the glutton identifiers that go to the graves of those who are already dead, and they understand which dead goes out of the grave at night by looking at the damaged soil. Immediately the people swarmed and dug the grave of their voracious child, and then they saw that the eyes of which turned to blood-filled cups, and their face was red-blooded from drinking human blood. You don't need to know who I am. You just need to know that I'm on the side of the sane.
He nods. And then he sort of cocks his head because at first there was like a reassurance, which is definitely what that was. But then there was a bit of a curiosity, as if there's something curious about that. He says, well, you want to kill them. That's not so easy. That is a noble thing to kill rather than to control or whatever it is people think they can do. So I take it you're not with... And he stops to think about it, and he goes, Carl, right? He gives you like the Arabic version of basically Charlie.
No, and I'm not with the circus either. And that's...
Mm,
listen, I don't know you. All I know is that the Prof have been looking at you. The CIA have been looking at you. The FSB have been looking at you. And a vampire. And this is the first time I think I ever say the word out loud.
mm,
A vampire not only looked at you, but tried to stop you from being taken by the CIA.
yes.
And, and let's not forget the fact that you've been poisoned for who knows how long. Small doses at a time, right?
Yes, I know.
Well, I
And he
assume so.
smiles.
Otherwise, you'd be more shocked.
No. And he smiles as if he has a secret, right?
I look at the drink he's taking.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at mine.
Mm-hmm.
Not from the same bottle, I assume.
No. No. And he says, I have a very weak heart. And he just sort of taps his heart. I'm quite fragile. And
What's around your neck?
There's this kind of like, there's this look in his eye that is very sharp and very, very calculated. He is poisoning himself. You know that more before you know anything, right? You know it. Just enough, right? Little bits. After this length of time, this is something he's doing. He cannot handle any heavy physical stress. It would probably kill him. Any kind of physical stress would probably just, his heart would give out. Due to the amount of poison he has, forensic pathology, absolutely that is the case. So, I don't know. Torture would probably just kill him.
Which is why the FSB aren't torturing him.
That is correct. Or anyone else, for that matter. Because he would die. And he just takes a swig of his drink, and he smiles. How can you help me? Who are you with?
I'm
and
with
what do you
the
want?
Canadians. And, well, with is a strong word. I think I'm a bit on my own. What I want is to figure out who is behind all this and what they want with... I say as if I'm about to say his name. And then I think, no, she's there and she hears proper names. And I say instead, the Spider-Man. In English.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense in the context of things, but
it's going to be... He just says, he says in English back to you, my English is not good, but I love the comic books.
Likewise. And this is in English, and it feels even more torture than... Because when he first spoke ages ago, there was a bit in English there. This feels tortured. Because the person who he talked to is not in that room anymore.
Yes.
I love them too. But I want to see what Spider-Man would be if Uncle Ben didn't die. And then he switches back to Arabic. I want to stop this. That's the most important thing. And I want to figure out what the hell is around your neck.
Uh, ah, that is a gift that I was given. It protects me. Um, my friend, Haji Abdullah, his son gave me a gift that keeps me protected from. Uh, they can. My heart cannot handle physical shocks, but they uh, have ways to go inside of your mind, and I
Like
have
your
a
friend over there?
protection. Hmm. She is weak, not like them. Smaller version. Uh, she drinks, but she's not of them. She's she's not loyal to my old club, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Uh, she
So
has more than
that's
one master.
that's why you left the old club. They're taking over, or they're being infiltrated.
Well, and he sort of like gazes up to the ceiling in a way that sort of like indicates her she's not in charge of the detail. She is a mole. They are here. They're working with the. And he stops. He's like, "There's no way I can say this." And he's like, "The criminal brotherhood," he says in Arabic, to make sure that the brapa does not come through. They have their fingers everywhere. Uh, they have told me that my time is done. They are going to find out what I know, or else. I don't know how they knew about the plan, but they did. I
To
am being,
extract you?
yes, I don't know who told him about it.
Someone in the CIA.
Hmm,
At least
maybe.
that's what they currently suspect. I've been tracking them too.
Hmm. They were
I
going to get me out of here before.
I'm gonna I'm gonna roll something. I'm gonna roll
Mm,
something for me, not for
mm-hmm.
anyone else, because I don't know how he. Oh no, that's not good.
Five.
Five is
Uh,
five is a good roll,
it is a good
unless what
roll.
you're trying to do is be a bit heartless. Then it's a
Mm,
success in the wrong way.
yes, it is. There is something he's hiding, by the way. There's something he's holding back right now. Um, he's being a little bit. There are cards he has he's not putting on the table because he clearly wants something. He wants something, right? And so he can't give all of his cards before he gets assurances. You can tell that that is happening.
You talk about honor, and yet instead of giving what you know, you wait to be extracted. So what do you
Yes.
really want?
You see, I am old, but I want out because they have decided to move. I know a secret. It was handed to me by an old friend, an important secret, and they wanted them. My friends here, they don't know anything about it, but that man you spoke of and the organization that he works for and the fingers everywhere, they know now about the secret that I have learned, and they want it, and they say it is time that I give it to them. I don't have much time left. The power in my charm is fading, as my body is fading. But there is something that is more important to me. I was promised that I would be taken to safety in exchange for my information about the secret, but also that any weights, thinking to make sure that doesn't sound too similar, that my granddaughter would also be kept safe. She is flying into London tomorrow, and she was supposed to be extracted with me. She's the only living relative I have left, and I will give my secrets to no one unless I know that she is safe and that I can be taken out of here. The curse.
My brother, you know that there's only one way out of this mess. For you, at least. You've known it ever since I walked in the room. You know it ever since you started poisoning yourself. I cannot take you outside of the Russian embassy, not with only the strength I have in my body and no support. Now, I can find a way to divert your granddaughter. I can do that. But that's the most I can do. And the thing that you can do to protect her is to tell me what you know and then remove yourself from the board.
I can say nothing until you get her safe. If you get her safe, then...
Hold on. I'm going to look at my edges for a second.
You could get me out. They're not letting me leave this embassy at all. They are keeping me here prisoner. But I will be going to the opera in 2 days. You could get me out then, and you should have my granddaughter by then as well.
Do you honestly believe that the information you have can wait 2 days? He's gotten this close to you. You're surrounded. And the longer you stay around, the more your granddaughter becomes a target. Listen, and I smile at him gently. You know what I am?
No.
I'm a historian. Remember that pamphlet I gave you? I circled that name. That keynote speech. That's who I am. That's who I really am. That's the birth records. You can find it. I'm giving you something that I've given no one else. Something only you can know. So you know just how serious I'm taking this. I was invited here specifically to handle this issue. But I'm telling you, with the resources I have, to keep your granddaughter safe, she can no longer be as attached to you as she is now.
We've had a lot of distance. Most people did not know too much, but that man...
They know enough.
He told me just now that he found out she's coming, and that he will take her off the streets and kill her.
Unless there is no longer a reason to. Unless the thing he's trying to control is gone. Okay, this is a really wacky use of an edge.
I'm ready.
I've given him my true identity.
Yes, you have.
My real credentials. And if they're helpful in this moment to know both that I am a historian and thus I understand all of the references he's been making, but also that I am laying my cards out on the table. Then I would like to use my edge invited speaker to get a free interpersonal push.
Okay. That will work.
And now I'm going to take a quick look at our lines and veils. And I'm going to spend that interpersonal push on reassurance.
Mm-hmm.
I will save your granddaughter. I'm not telling you I'll try. I'm not telling you I'll make an effort. I will do it. But the only way I can do it is if you don't make it out of this room. What's her safety worth to you? You don't have to
He
tell me what you
nods.
know if you really don't want to.
He gets up and he walks over to the window to look out across the skyline. He says, Uganda, in Russian. And he says, and he sort of like coughs a bit, and you can see him. He's got his back to you all, and he's coughing a little bit, and he sort of like uh, grabs the back of his neck. And the nurse sort of looks to make sure everything's okay. Uh, and he kind of doubles over a little bit, and he gets back up, and he sort of like waves with his offhand, and he sort of gestures for you to come and look out the window with him.
I do so.
He's clutching whatever it was in his hand. He has slipped it off of his neck when he was coughing, and he's holding it in his hand right now, but away from the rest of the group. And he says, "This must get to my granddaughter to protect her as long as it can."
I reach out to shake his hand, not even shake it, to grasp it tightly in both of mine. I leave my glass on the side.
Mm.
And I feel this small object, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
even look at it before I cross my arms and just shove it up my sleeve.
Mm. Do you know what it is?
No.
Oh, you do.
I have two of them now?
Mm. This one is a little bit less grand, a little bit more worn. But yes, it's a Hamsa from around the same era. It feels like it's dying a little bit, but it's a little different from yours. A little different, but whatever it is, it has been keeping him safe from them. Most likely that Simon did not really get what he wanted in that conversation because of this amulet.
He was just made to think he did.
Well, he probably gave a lot of threats. You know what I mean? But he didn't get the secret. He didn't get the secret. He
Still
says,
have it.
"All right. I can tell you some things, but you must promise me you will get her out of here."
Of course.
I don't know how to defeat that one, but I do
Thing.
know yes, the thing. They cannot die normally. But I can tell you something. It is something important. Haji Abdullah found something when he was searching for a lost city. And it's important. And he pulls out this bottle that's in the back, and he pours a large glass of this drink for himself. And he starts taking a sip. And he says, there is a man, his son. I was his handler back in Moscow in 88.
Kim.
When he died, he told me a secret so terrible. So terrible. His father did something in 1931. Something to do with them, the things. And he gave his son part of the key and his son gave this part of key to me. And this amulet that I have given you, I have worn it every day since 1988. They, the things, they know that Philby, the son, told me the secret. But with this amulet and with my very weak heart, they could not take it from me, my mind or my body. So, this item is here. I hid it here. But I'm dying. And you have to destroy the secret. Protect her. Give her the talisman. And I will give you. And he coughs heavily. And there's like a little bit of blood that comes out. And he sort of like wipes his mouth with a handkerchief. And he sort of like pats you on the chest in sort of like a gesture of like support. And you feel something slide into your jacket pocket, the breast pocket. He says, I have given you information that should buy Anna, my granddaughter, safety with any organization. And there is in there also some GLONASS coordinates for a location where I've hidden the key to the key. I've checked it, it's still there. The coordinates there will take you to where it is. But listen, this secret is something terrible. The white, the black, the red, and the curse on the house of Al Saud. I don't know what the curse is, but I know that there was a curse placed on the entire house, and that this secret from Haji Abdullah is the key. But it is something greater than this. And I know that they want it very badly. I don't know what power they are looking for. But whatever it is, they cannot have it.
I won't.
You will save my granddaughter, yes.
I will.
And there's blood on his hand. And he grips his chest a little bit.
In Russian, I go to. He seems fine until he starts coughing. I don't. Please help him. I like hold him with one arm and I kind of gently take him down to the ground.
And she rushes upwards. She does not have the medic skill, by the way, but she like tries to make sure, and then she yells at the guy, and she says, "Get the doctor," in Russian, and he rushes off the other direction as this man. He is so frail. He has racked his body with poison for decades to protect him.
Can I roll?
And there is a USB stick in your pocket as he is beginning to twitch in pain.
Can I roll medic to make a good show of trying to save his life?
Yes, you can. A 6.
Imagine this is more of a quick test than anything else.
It is a quick test. And as you, by the way, she sees you, and it is very convincing. And as you are trying, you can feel his life slipping away. And his skin is so thin, and his muscles are so emaciated. He has almost no strength left in his body. And he just reaches out and grips a hold of your hand. And he smiles at you. And he says, "Stop the curse upon the house of Assad. Don't let them get the 3 colors." And he reaches up towards your face as if his vision is failing.
I say in Russian, what is he saying? What is he talking about? No, you're going to be okay. The doctor is coming. The doctor's coming.
And he puts his hand up towards your face and he touches right here. And he says, "Fatima, protect." And his hand drops.
I look at the nurse.
She's looking at you. And when you brought your eyes up to her for a half second, you saw something right before you got to her, right? You know what I mean? Like there was that split second where she had some feelings that were not the very kind, sweet feelings that she normally exudes. There seemed to be something of a coldness, something of a anger, of a bit of a panic, a little bit of fear, right? Not directed towards you, about the situation. It's a very important person to keep alive. And she's sitting there, but the minute your eyes come up to her, she's back with this like concern and worry. And she's like checking his pulse. And she whispers into his ear something, and she tries to see if he will say something back to her. And the amulet burns a little bit warmer as she whispers something in his ear.
Both?
And yeah. And she says, you can barely hear her. She says, "You will tell me where to find the key." And his eyes sort of lose focus, and his mouth opens to tell her the secret. And just blood dribbles out and his eyes go dim. As a doctor rushes in from the other side and says, like in Russian, "Out of the way, out of the way." And he goes to try, but he's gone.
You did what you could. We did what we could.
And she starts to cry. And she sort of leans toward you for comfort.
I in a very like straight
Would you like to roll
man
sense trouble?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Please do.
I'd love to. I'd love to. I feel like take one point for medic 2. A 3. Well, what am I trying to reach? What's my
5? It's easier because you've got her number. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to roll Sense Trouble again. I'm going to use both dice for this. Perfect 5.
Mm-hmm. Perfect 5. Um, no dice left, so right. But you know very well what she's doing. She is going to try to. She wants you to take her into your arms to comfort her so that she can frisk you and see if you have anything on you that she might want to take. And you are pretty certain that if she did, you probably wouldn't notice. Most people would not notice, right? But she is clearly aiming for
A body search.
a body search.
I noticed this, and it's very sweet. It's very kind. It's very loving. Instead of holding her, he takes her face in both of his hands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I promise you I was here. You did all you could. He was just that old. And then I wipe some of those tears off, and I wipe some of my own tears off. And I stand up and I say, I should go. I'll, the notes, and I lean on the door jamb.
Now, you know, because she's very good at what she does, she doesn't need to ask you if you said anything because everything has been recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't need to actually play her hand that way.
Of course not.
Uh, she sort of nods and she sort of gets up like with this like really very very fragile sort of sense of self, and she moves, and there's this little moment where she sort of moves past him and her foot catches the rug, and just it does, and she would trip, but there's this like lightning fast reflex that just gets her foot right back where it needs to be. She still looks quite um, weak, but the speed with which she caught herself was a little too fast. As she goes and sort of sits by his desk, and one of the guards come in and says, "Sir, this is an incident. You'll have to leave. Let me escort you
Yeah.
out."
Yes, no, of course. I'm so, and like effusively switching languages back and forth. I'm so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sorry. This is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Who could have
Mm-hmm.
seen this coming? Oh, the poor man. He
Mm-hmm.
was so old, but still, I thought he had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of life in him. Maybe he
Mm-hmm.
could have recovered. Back and forth and back and forth and back and
Mm-hmm.
forth, not stopping for a second until I am gone.
Out. Yes. I need a roll from you.
Mm-hmm.
I need a cover check, if you would.
Yeah, I got you there.
Mm-hmm.
+1 on cover tests when I'm
That is
operating as
correct.
Osman, and we're being Osman today. What's my
Mm-hmm.
advance number?
Normally, this would be a 9, but it is only a 7 because Shevlenko is dead. And you have the advantage here. So it is only a 7.
Right, and with that +1, I only need to get a 6. So
That is
let's
correct. 6.
advance.
Please take a push.
Thank you.
You get a push for this. And you may discard. You don't get an edge, but you may discard 1 heat problem.
Great. Fast and Furious
Indeed.
is
As
gone.
your cover is so good that you are able to allay suspicion as you make your way out and away from the embassy. But this is where we do have to end. There is some terrible secret that has 2 keys, and your Shevlenko has one of them, hidden perhaps in at this location, these coordinates. Something so terrible, something to do with a curse on the house of Al Saud, something that they the vampires desperately want. I wonder what this terrible curse is, and I wonder if it would impact your friend.
Probably.
If it
That's
were
my
triggered,
guess.
whatever it is. It's probably bad.
Well, it's time to say goodbye.
It is time to say goodbye. So, my dear friend, if you would, why don't you tell me and all of us here who you are, where we can find you, and what is next for the Saracen? As he made sure to not let that very innocent nurse, who was definitely very innocent, get her hands on your body for a body search, because you have things on your body that probably you would not want her to know.
Hi, my name is Northern Ligadier. You can call me Werewolf. You can find me online, WerewolfFeels, on all socials. And by all socials, I just mean Bluesky, because I just use the one right now. I'm a tabletop role player, streamer, performer, podcaster, writer, designer. I do a lot of hats. But perhaps most importantly, I am slowly going back to the old days and expanding the many things I do, which means that sooner or later I'm going to be on Game Master Monday in November, playing a game of demigods. I'm very excited for that. And I'll also be on Wandering DM's channel playing The Witcher. I did promise you that I'd tell you more about this character this time around, and considering it is Friday, I know all about it. A mage who has experience in healing magic, and specifically is tired of all the political bullshit that mages tend to be a fan of. He's not the curmudgeon of the group, but he is close. Which, I love playing that kind of character. I appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's 173 years old, and he's from the land of Zeracania, which means he's this world will not be kind to him, and here's hoping I don't get decapitated. Anyway, that's where you can find me next. But what about Illyaz? Well, he's going to try and escape notice as much as possible. He's going to take every single left-hand turn he can do. He's trying to evade any possible tail, even if he doesn't think there's one behind him, because at this point, he's just escaped the Russian embassy with his life and with precious information that literally everyone wants. And he's going to take that responsibility seriously. And then he's going to go out for a nice, lovely dinner with a man who happens to have a curse on him.
Because as it turns out, that ex-fling of yours is actually from the house of Al-Saud, so...
Too many things are fitting together. There's still a lot to uncover. There's still a lot to unpack, so we'll see you next time. But until then, we made it out so far, folks. We're still alive. Good.
Shevlenko's dead, though.
That was what that cool roll was for. If it was anything lower than a 3, I would not have the emotion. Like, I would not have the emotional bandwidth to convince him that there was no other way out.
Yeah.
But it was a 5, and so I was able to be less empathetic.
Yeah. How does that make you
really
feel?
Empathetic.
Or maybe really empathetic.
I feel bad.
I mean,
feel
look,
like that
he just wants his granddaughter safe. You know what I mean? He also wanted to get out, but, well, that wasn't great.
Illyaz has never killed anyone before. He's seen dead bodies. He's seen a lot of them, recent and old. He's seen murder. He's seen suicide. He has not taken someone else's life. And technically speaking, he still hasn't. But to him, there is no difference.
Yeah. St. John Philby found something very, very dangerous.
Yep. What about you, Trooper?
I'm TrooperSJP. And, I've got a bunch of stuff coming up. Also, we're going to, go to the live person to read out when I get down here. So first off, today's Friday. You can find me, the next time you'll find me streaming will be Tuesday. over at 8 p.m. over at Other Docs for the finale of Lords of Gossamer and Shadow. And then on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, you will find me over at Table Story for episode 2 of 3 of Draconim, Souls and Scales. And then Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern here on this channel will be the first of a 3-shot of Microscope Chronicle, which is the second edition. It's in playtest. This really cool game where we all play history. And it's the newest version of it, which I'm very excited about. And you'll see more advertisements coming with that, but we've got a great cast. It'll be Bill of the Forest and Praxagor the Smophoria, and also me, and also PB Plays Inside, and it's going to be really good. And then on Saturday at noon Eastern will be the finale of this Seasons of Death Winter Out of the House of Ashes, where Shevlenko's gone. All that's left is just some wrap up, right? You just got to go and save the granddaughter, find out what's at those coordinates, get it,
Save
get
the
out,
princess, save the prince, open the box, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and not get killed by the vampire.
No promises.
No promises.
No promises.
My friends, I am going to leave this over to the future me so that future me can go and read off any tips and bits that might have happened. And I just want to say it is always a pleasure playing. Always a pleasure playing. Oh, that was such a lovely scene. Such a lovely scene. You convinced him. He was not going to do it, but you did. You convinced him that this was the only way out.
It was. Was it? It was.
Well,
it was.
There are other ways, but this is probably... You had very good logic.
I do.
Very good logic. And you convinced him. You had to use an edge for it, but, well, time is ticking. I'm going to toss this back over to future me to say hey to everybody. Thank you, everybody, and I'm going to toss this over to future me.
Future Trooper. Bye.
Hey, future Trooper. We will see you. Well, I'll let future Trooper take care of the rest of it. Bye, everybody. Hello, everyone. It is I, future, or actually not future, now just present, TrooperSJP. How are you doing? I wanted to say thank you all for being here and watching this session, which, by the way, ended right before we started. It was like a quick go. I hope all of you enjoyed that. So I'm here to read out any tips or bits messages that we got, but we didn't get any, so I don't have any to read out to you. But I did want to say, how amazing was that, right? I was not expecting that to happen. I never know what to expect. Oh, The Past Inside the Present Roller. That is a great title. That is a great title. Ooh, as is like a haunting choice. Ooh. So nice. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. I have to go and set these the VODs up, which I'll be doing tonight. So thank you for being here. And I did not expect that to happen. And now the question becomes, what are we going to do at the finale on Saturday? I think there's going to be stuff. And when did Past Me says, to recap, you can find me on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for Lords of Gossamer and Shadow, where we have a big finale. And then on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern over at Table Story, where we will have part 2 of 3, with a lot of 3-shots coming up for Draconim, and then for RPGs. Then on Friday, Thursday I'll be playing Mutazione. Friday at 7:30 p.m., not the regular 7 p.m. time, but 7:30 for scheduling purposes. We'll be doing the first of 3 sessions of Microscope Chronicle 2nd edition, which is a playtest version of the newest edition of Microscope. That's going to be very, very exciting. And that'll be here on this channel. And then Saturday at noon Eastern, which is 9 a.m. Pacific, on Saturday, not tomorrow, but the week after, will be the finale of Seasons of Death Winter, Out of the House of Ashes. The finale, which probably will just be what 15 minutes, you know? So not tomorrow, Saturday, no, Saturday the 13th. So we have a full week, so I can make more and more cards. I made many, many cards. We did not actually use all of them, but we might. I don't know what's going to happen. I got it from Music is Math by Boards of Canada. Oh, nice. But not so much a title, but a fun pun for future trooper. The past is always a present. So yes, in a week on this Saturday, and on Friday, next Friday in a week, we'll have a premiere of a special 3-shot. We'll have 3 weeks of Microscope, and then will be the beginning of season 7 of The Gamblers. And I've got some things to do for that, but I'm very excited. And Microscope is going to be next Friday with PB Plays Inside and Praxagor the Smophoria, and also Bill of the Forest. And it's going to be a good time. And I've got some strange fractal backgrounds to finish up, but it will be very, very good. Also, I'm not going to say anything, but progress is happening with the secret project. We've got a secret project coming up, and it looks like that is going to premiere in October. I'm very excited for that as well. And I have got another secret project with somebody who may or may not be in chat right now, which may be a 1-shot, but it's probably going to be a 2-shot, also coming in October. So there's going to be a lot of good stuff happening. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And I did want to say we're going to do a raid. Why? Because it's good to do raids. It is good to sort of support people and like send along the love. So let's see. We are going to send our love to whom today? Don't forget our raid command. But why don't we? I always like to send raids to, who would be a good one? You know what? We have not raided Luxy Games in a while. So let's raid Luxy, who I've played with on Table Story. So let's do that, shall we? Oh, I pressed start the raid too fast. Anyway, I want to say thank you. I'm going to go to credits so we can try to get out of credits before I have to raid. So thank you so much. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Don't forget our raid command. Bye, everybody.